The history and tradition of motorsports runs deep in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. From the early 1950s, when the drivers plied their wares on the streets around the lake, to 1955, when the historic Road America circuit was built. It's been known for great competition, but as of late, it's been more known for close finishes in the American Le Mans Series.
Everybody thought Audi had the field covered with speed, but Penske wins at Road America, making the checkered flag.
What a gut check drive for Olivier. 3 of the 4 classes unbelievably close, bringing it home at the Generac 500. And there is Brabham taking the P2 win over the number 7 of Bernard.
Pull the gear lever one more time, shift one more gear. The victory will go to Patron Highcroft. It is a gorgeous day in the Kettle Moraine area of Wisconsin, just northwest of Milwaukee, where the fans have turned out in droves to see round 7 of the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron, Road America, powered by E-Star. 3 races to go in the 2010 championship. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Till along with Dorsey Schrader and Calvin Fish. Guys, we've got championships on the line, 3 races to go, 70 points left up for grabs. Let's start with prototypes. Calvin?
Well, Brian, the next 8 days will be pivotal in the chase for the championship today and next weekend at Mosport. And you can see the LMP driver standings right now. Brabham and Pagenaud lead Graf by 23 points. That was really ballooned out of Mid-Ohio when this 6th car did not see any action. In LMPC, well, Tucker leads by 11 points after 4 victories this year. But the key is no mistakes at this stage of the game. You must position yourself points-wise over these next 2 weekends, Dorsey.
And in the GT Championship, Calvin, it's extremely close with Porsche drivers Jörg Bergmeister, Patrick Long, with 8-point lead over Ferrari drivers Jamie Mello and Jimmy Bruni. But the all-important Manufacturers Championship battle is down to 2 points. BMW, Ferrari, and Porsche fight it out there. In GTC, 3 points separates Tim Pappas and Jerome Bleekemolen over Henri Richard, who unfortunately is not here this weekend. He's got business commitments, but I agree with you. You've got to max out points here and at Mosport, because when we go to Petit Le Mans, you have to finish the first 6 hours of that race to get any points at all, and it's a bonus point situation.
Well, you guys talk about championships, driver teams, and manufacturers, but what about the drivers and the teams who haven't won yet this year? They want to make their mark on 2010. We've got plenty in the field, and we've got spoilers up front. For more on that, let's head down to the pit lane. The first of our reporters, Jamie Howe.
Well, Brian, the spoiler in LMP this weekend comes in the form of Drayson Racing. It was Johnny Cocker who put the car on pole, being the only driver to claim 2 pole positions this season. Starting right behind them on the grid, though, is Dyson Racing. They're looking for a repeat from their first win overall at Mid-Ohio. But LMP is not the only class with spoilers this weekend. For more on GT, here's Chris Neville.
Well, Jamie, GT qualifying was cut short because of a crash by Andy Lally. So we really didn't see times that were indicative of the speed that we saw in practice. Our championship leaders starting a little bit further back, leaving the door open for some spoilers who are just looking for victory. Last year, it was Joey Hand and Bill Arberlin who got a win for BMW, but this year, BMW winless. And who would have guessed that we would not see Corvette win this year? The 4-car did sit on pole back at Le Mans, but this team has not had a pole this year on this side of the Atlantic. The team did test at Road America prior to Le Mans, so that team very confident, showing a lot of speed this weekend, and hoping to take that confidence and speed and translate that into a victory for the first time for the yellow and black.
Well, thanks for the stories from pit lane. Now let's take a look at this historic Road America circuit, and who better to do it with than a driver who's won here twice and who drives a Porsche.
Hey, I'm Patrick Long. Join me for some of Road America's highlights. Down into turn 1, it's late braking. Get past the access road as your brake marker. The key to turn 1 is carrying momentum as fast as you can through the mid-corner, back to throttle, and all the way out onto your exit curve. Under the Johnsonville Bridge as you approach the carousel. Here it's about staying tight to the grass and keeping as much momentum as you can. From turn 11 down to Canada Corner, there's a great overtaking place here. It's easy to outbrake yourself though, and you'll see a lot of accidents and plenty of cars in the gravel trap at the exit of 12. Turn 14, another key corner at Road America. Too late here and you're going to pay the price all the way up the hill to the start-finish line.
That was a great onboard shot from Patrick Long's Flying Lizard Porsche. We'll have more onboard shots for you today as well. The Speed.com onboard pass, you can get behind the wheel and get a view with your favorite drivers with Speed Onboard Pass presented by Porsche Cayenne. Log on now to speed.com, search keyword Porsche. We got some Porsches in the field. You see the 45, you also saw the number 6. Good to see the Muscle Milk Team Cyto Sport Porsche RS Spider back in the field as the pace car comes to pit road. The 37, the Intersport Lola. Clint and John Field will start from pit lane. We'll have more on that team later as the field comes up the front straight. The green flag waves. Johnny Cocker in the green number 8 holds onto the point. Well, look at the 12.
Look at the 12 car, Johnny Molan behind the wheel. That car's shown extraordinary straight line speed here, but Paul Grayson hangs on there.
If Johnny can stay tucked up behind Paul Grayson, when he comes on this next long straightaway, expect the orange number 12 to take the lead going into turn 5.
Johnny Molan behind the wheel of that Autocon Lola as you watch the field shuffle behind it. Good to see him back with his team. This team running strong as of late. They finished 3rd at Mid-Ohio, and now John Field underway.
And it should be easy for Molan. He's been shown about 12 miles an hour more straightaway speed. There it is demonstrated on the run down to turn 5.
That car's clocking in right there at 190 miles per hour.
Look at Pagano pushes through for 3rd.
Originally, John Field was going to be starting the race from the back of the pack. They did not qualify because they did not have an engine. Their friends down at Autocon Motorsports, though, gave them an engine this morning. They were able to prep it, get it in the car. They did do a hardship lap this afternoon, but when they came to pit lane for the recon laps, they were fueling the car and noticed that they had a fuel leak. They had to change the gasket, so they did not make it out for the recon laps, which is why they had to start the race from pit lane. John Field said, "We have a car, we definitely have the determination, and we're going to go out and do the best that we can today."
Talk about determination. Pagano in the number 1, the Patron Highcroft entry, trying to work his way towards the front. Very different stories, very different machines up front right now, Calvin.
Oh, and that's a hairy spot to pass there. Chris Dyson forces his way through. That stops the momentum for the 8 car. Can Timo Bernhard take advantage? Yes, he does.
Chris Dyson really tried that in the carousel, thought better of it, backed out, and really wanted to get by in a hurry.
Prototypes up front. Right now it's Johnny Molan with the lead in the orange open-top Lola, turbocharged V8 AER power plant. Right behind him, Simon Pagano, a P2 spec car. Do not expect to see the straight line speed out of that number 1 Patron Highcroft entry as they come onto the front straight.
He will gap him here. Here you can see him up that hill there on this long front stretch. We're going to reach speeds approaching 190 miles an hour here with that AER engine. But Pagano, what a great start. Qualified 5th. They're going for the low downforce, the Le Mans style bodywork. Everyone thought it was a bit of a gamble. It's paid off here on the opening lap.
Surprisingly, Calvin, with the low downforce, that the HD entry Highcroft's car does not have great straightaway speed. In fact, it suffers down the long straights here.
Right now, Johnny Molan out front. The first lap's led for Autocon this year. Let's go back to GT, where it's Corvettes up front. Great to see them qualifying well, but we've seen them fast throughout this season, guys. We just haven't seen them put it together to a victory, and that's surprising to me.
It really is, but look at the BMW. They've had a good opening lap here. Looks like Joey Hand has got his way around Pierre Capper to slot his way into the 3rd spot behind the 2 Corvettes. Beretta leads from O'Connell.
It is going to be intense today in GT. Joey Hand in the BMW with the blue wing, moving up like you said, and look at the Ferrari, one of the extreme speed Ferraris up. That's the 01.
Late move there down the inside by Johannes van Overbeek. Bergmeister fights back.
And that's the 92 BMW to ride on board with Bill Arbel and the 45 right in front of him. This has championship implications as well. We talk about only 8 points between Bergmeister and Long back to the... Oh, look at this.
You've got the top 3 in the championship running line astern right there. The 45 car leads the championship. The Risi car, the red car, Jamie Mello there looking for a way by the BMW. He's 2nd, that BMW is 3rd in the championship.
Everybody's been talking about the Ferrari and the Porsche in the championship, but they've forgotten about the 92. As you talked about, Calvin, they're only 11 points back in the championship. And when I talked to Thomas Blom down at Flying Lizard, he said, guys, stop talking about the 62. We're just as worried about the 92.
Well, they've had a tremendous season. The BMW sat on the podium every race, but the car, the 92 car, sat on the podium 5 times. They are on a roll.
History and tradition here at Road America. The tradition of great competition. And it continues right now. Round 7 of the American Le Mans Series from historic Road America. That's a look at your leaderboard. We have a long way to go. Make sure you don't miss a lap. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by the all-new E-Star. Wow, does this truck deliver? And by the new Cayenne. Porsche, there is no substitute. There's a great shot of the Road America circuit through turn 7. Dorsey, I know you never liked that corner. Down towards corner 8, aboard car 8. Paul Drayson behind the wheel of that pole-sitting Lola right now as he works through turn 8 and into the carousel.
This is where you see the speed. This is a great shot to see it. Carousel, one of the scariest corners. Long duration right-hand bend, downhill, off camber on the end. And then the scariest corner that most of us ever drove, the kink, up ahead.
Like more than a kink at this sort of speed. It's like a right-hand corner, but Drayson's done a nice job. He's dropped to 5th from the pole slot, but he's running within about 4 seconds of the leaders, and that is the key. If he can maintain that for 45 minutes of this race before he switches over to Johnny Cock, that should keep this car on the lead lap, and that is essential in their quest for victory here today.
We talked to the team earlier, and they are running a little more downforce than they might have if they had 2 pro drivers in the car, but they said we're still able to run plenty fast, and that downforce gives Paul Drayson a lot of confidence. The man with confidence right now, Johnny Mollem.
Well, I said that earlier. If I had a car that was 20 mile an hour faster on the straightaway at this racetrack and I could get in the lead, I'd be a tough little booger to get by.
I'll tell you what, we have a great battle. It's a fascinating battle here today with these 4 cars running up front. They're all running lap times within about 4 to 5 tenths of one another, but they're getting that speed in different areas of the racetrack.
They have the ability to show top speed. We'll take a look at Johnny Mollem. He's 189.90, just short of the 190 we saw in qualifying.
Now here's the deal, you talked about it, Calvin, a V8, turbocharged V8 in the Lola made by AER. Right behind him, the HPD power plant in that chassis. Right behind them, you saw the Dyson entry. Remember, that was the winner at Mid-Ohio. Turbocharged car, you ride on board the 16, powered by isobutanol, another one of the 5 different fuel types that we have in the American Le Mans Series. 3 very different cars right there in the top 3, and then right behind him, Timo Bernhard in the Porsche RS Spyder.
You see the decal get well. Greg Pickett will be on the pit box here today. He had a massive accident at Mid-Ohio just a couple of weeks ago. Massive brake failure at the end of the straightaway there, and here we see a problem down in the Canada corner.
And I was going to say,
63 car.
63.
That is one of our leading contenders in this GTC
more trouble upstream.
championship.
This is upstream from where we just saw the 63. The 23 might have had part to do with that.
Yeah, Duncan Endy is behind the wheel of the 63 car. He shares with Andy Lally here this weekend, but Henri Richard not available for action. And he is buried up to the axles. He's going nowhere.
Well, I was going to say, this is an old school type of racetrack with a lot of gravel traps still left that haven't been paved over, so we get these cautions. We'll take a look at this from the 0-2, what happens. I think we'll see contact.
That's Ed Brown.
No.
In the
And that just broke free, didn't it?
Yeah, like on the downshift, just had a bit too much rear brake bias, and Duncan loses it on the entry of the corner. And then there was a car looked like the wrong way, facing the wrong way there coming off.
Yeah, that was a separate incident that I saw earlier.
That's Duncan Indy once again in the TRG, the number 63. Remember, that car heavily crashed in qualifying by Andy Lally, so don't know how much time they had it to run it, and then had that problem in the braking zone. You heard Patrick Long say, you can outbrake yourself into Canada corner, and perhaps that's what Duncan Indy did. Well, the crowd, they couldn't have picked better weather, a better day to come to Road America. Johnny Mollem with the Autocon entry out in front. Good to see that car there. Welcome back to Road America, where our first hour is brought to you by Porsche. There is no substitute. Right now, John Field in the number 37 Intersport entry onto pit road. They had engine problems in practice, borrowed this motor from the Autocon team and just installed it this morning. But this is not good, not from what I'm seeing, guys.
Well, reports were heavy smoke out of the back of the car on lap 2. And as you can see, as it's coming up the pit lane, it's puffing out of both banks. That's not usual, not good.
Yeah, John was so frustrated this weekend. They essentially had to sit out all of the practice sessions and qualify with an engine motor immediately. There you see his son Clint scratching his head just saying, when can we catch a break? Clint did such an awesome job in Mid-Ohio in the last lap. Leading essentially the first couple of hours until the engine went south that day as well. So the crew will take a quick look, but that is not a healthy sign, as you can see.
Oh, you see it's overheating too.
Understand the 62 in the pit lane. Remember, this is second place in the GT Championship. So right now, the Ricci Ferrari on pit road, Jamie.
It looks pretty standard. Nobody looks drivers too panicked. They're not checking anything. They just did fuel. Just a splash of fuel and 4 new tires is what they're doing right now. The 37 also on pit road. The rear bonnet is coming off of that car. A lot of frustration for Intersport. About number 62 machine is out and away.
Plenty of frustration on the part of Intersport as the 62 gets back underway. We say this first hour is brought to you by Porsche. And Porsche's not only racing here in the American Le Mans Series, they are also a very large part of the safety program. And it's good to know that when you've got a problem on the racetrack, somebody can get to you quickly. What better way to do it than in a Porsche?
Proud to be handing these 2 cars over today. The Cayenne's been used very effectively in the last few years as a great safety vehicle. The new cars are very much enhanced. It's a brand new model, very much revised. New body structure. It's 400 pounds lighter than the previous model. The 2 engines in the 2 cars, the Turbo and the S. The Turbo now has 500 horsepower. The S has 400 horsepower. But the real attractive thing about this is it's 23% more fuel efficient, which is phenomenal. Now, this car is completely stock. It's a very high performance car that comes with, say, the turbo engine. It can outrun most of the road cars in this form, but also it can outhandle them as well.
Nice to have those 2 brand new Cayenne safety vehicles. They showed up yesterday, so the American Le Mans Series just getting their hands on them. I'm sure that the drivers of those got plenty of laps and got to go out and practice a little bit. I know it's a hard life for those guys to have to do that.
It certainly is a great vehicle, and interesting strategy here during this first early caution. We saw 2 GT cars, 2 Ferraris, the 02 and the 62. The 02, I understand, they had pretty poor track position, so it's almost like a freebie. But Jamie, what's going on with the Risi cam? Why did they pit Mello?
Well, I just checked with the team, and because they were so far back in the GT running order, they decided that pitting right now wasn't going to hurt them, but it could potentially help them, because what happens now is Jamie has 4 new tires, and he has a fuel load of fuel, so he won't have to come back in when the other GT cars come back in, and they're hoping for more cautions that's going to help them out.
Yeah, I think that's a good roll of the dice there, but I tell you what, when you're in the championship hunt, if you get it wrong, it's so competitive in this field that if it goes the wrong way, it can really hurt you. But Rick Mayer's really trying to roll the dice here. They realize you got to take a few chances with the speed of some of the other cars out there this weekend. Jamie Mello has not been real comfortable with that car here this weekend, disappointed in his qualifying run, but seems to be on pace here today.
I would expect, guys, Simon Pagenaud to be very aggressive on this restart. Try to get around Johnny Mollem if he can before that turbo car gets spooled up and out of the way.
It's great to see Johnny Mollem back in a prototype, and I guarantee you, he certainly doesn't want Pagenaud to be too close to the pace car.
He's too close to the pace car almost. Pace car
Pagenaud with a big jump, and now watch Johnny Mollem. Man, that was close.
Yeah, I think Mollem had to check up a little bit because I think he was going to overtake the pace car before it hit pit lane. That stacked everyone up. But once again, that power takes over down this front straightaway, but it almost allowed Dyson to take advantage of Simon.
I think that stack up really helped Mollem. He got those turbos spooled up, and off he went. That HPD just languishing behind a little bit. Look at Timo Bernard looking up the inside, the number 16, Dyson Racing, and BMW's going to the front. Is that a problem for the 4 car?
I think that's for the lead in GT. Joey Hand, very aggressive there on the restart, got inside of Olivier Beretta. Remember, these BMWs are on Dunlop tires. They didn't come in quickly enough for qualifying to get them the pole, but they thought they'd be in good shape here today, Chris.
Yeah, Calvin, and a bit surprising, too, to see Joey coming up so strong on this opening lap here, because all the Michelin cars running medium compound tires here this weekend on all 4 corners, but the BMWs running hard compounds on the left side. So you'd think as we go back to green, it might take a couple more laps for that car to come in, but Joey Hand being very aggressive.
Beretta coming under fire right now as well from the 61 of Pierre Caffer. Don't forget about the other prototype class, the LMPC or Le Mans Prototype Challenge class. Got a great battle there as well. Kyle Marcelli out in front in the 89. That's an Intersport entry. And then Ricardo Gonzalez, Andy Wallace, Elton Julian running almost in lockstep there. Now, granted, we just came off of a restart. These guys running nose to tail. This is good stuff.
It really is, and this is a new chassis for the Intersport car. They leaked out the 89. Kyle Marcelli joined this weekend and for the rest of the season by Chapman Dakota. They had a clutch problem in this morning's warm-up. They basically had no drive, had to change the clutch here just a couple hours before the start of this race, but so far so good. The car looks to be running really strong at the front.
4 different classes out here today with their own battles, and yeah, an LMPC car would love to win overall. That's probably not going to happen. Kaffer in the red Ferrari with the yellow window banner, giving chase to the number 4 Corvette in front. And you saw the leader, Joey Hand, flash by. Joey Hand loves to pride himself on being king of the late breakers. So let's take a look at how this restart all unfolded.
Corvette gets into turn 1 with too much speed. He's not going to be able to get to the inside. And Joey Hand saw it all and said, I'll take that away from you now.
Just crosses back over. Beretta to the inside, says, I'm not going to let you sneak by there. And Joey says, okay, fine, I'll take you deep into the brake zone.
And that's what he did. And of course, the Corvette being a little bit heavier. You see it right there. Cannot hold the inside.
He's on the dirty part of the racetrack too. He wasn't on the normal racing line when you turn in from, so he tried to defend that inside line, tried to take the brakes in. Here comes Kaffer. He looks to the inside and takes second spot away. Corvette's moving backwards after qualifying 1-2.
Tell you what's impressive as well for Joey Hand. He said, you know, in qualifying, it takes about 4 or 5 laps, and we didn't get that because we had that red flag for the 63 of Andy Lally. So this is bad news for the rest of the field. The longer they run, the faster Joey Hand's going to go here in these first 4 or 5 laps.
Well, all weekend long, Joey Hand has been talking the talk, if you know what I mean. He's been talking racing. You know, he says, I'm going to put it to him. I'm going to show him what we got this time.
Our championship leader in GT, Jorg Bergmeister, down in 7th spot. That's not what they wanted to see here in the early going. But most importantly, the guys that are closest to them, obviously, are behind them with the 62 car hitting pit road during that caution.
Kaffer right now holding station in front of the 2 Corvettes. It's Beretta in the number 4, Johnny O'Connell in the number 3. We saw a lot of lockup out of the left front of the number 3 in the morning warm-up. O'Connell told me he was just on older tires, but it just shows you how hard they're pressing every single session on the racetrack to get all they can out of these Corvettes.
O'Connell's got a problem. He's really wide there coming through the carousel. Looked like he slowed momentarily. Not sure if he's got a handling issue or not, but Johannes van Overbeek immediately takes advantage. You can see it. He just wasn't holding the inside line, Dorsey, coming through that long duration corner.
I was going to say earlier, it's a relatively cool day. Oh, no!
That's Scott Tucker in the 55.
He got hit. He got hit by the BMW, I'm almost sure.
That's the 92 BMW of Bill Auberlen. That is big in the championship.
Yes,
Remember, 11 points back from the 45, and Tucker right in the middle of that mix. He had started well back in the pack because they had to change motors. They didn't have a qualifying time, so he started on the last row right in the thick of that GT battle. Let's see if we can get a good look.
A lot of these cars, even though they're in different classes, have the same terminal speed, and you know, maybe Scott backed up a little bit in the kink, and suddenly Billy was down to the inside there.
It was damage on the 02 Ferrari that came by as well on the left rear, so I don't know if he was part of that. I don't see how he could have been. That was well back of that, so a full course caution, the second of the day right now. That's Bill Auberlen in the BMW.
I tell you what, Scott Remke this morning was prophetic. He said, I am really concerned about us mixing it up within these other classes. He said, we've got a championship on the line. He said, it is really hairy out there with these 4 classes running together. And I think what must have happened there, we were just on board with Scott Tucker. We suddenly saw him go around. Billy Auberlen had to be alongside. And
I totally agree. I think they got together. Whether I'm not saying it's Billy's fault by any means, but you know, I could tell from being on board that the car turned so violently that there had to be contact. Watch here.
And you talk about championships. Tucker just moved a little bit there, and we just kind of lost it. It's not only a championship in GT that's on the line. Scott Tucker is your leader in the LMPC championship.
Watch that. Yeah, there's contact. There is definitely. But I agree. I think Joey was inside. I mean, Bill was inside of him alongside the corner.
I didn't think the car looked right of Tucker's. It looks almost like it moves before Auberlen gets there.
Yeah, it was definitely moving around a fair amount on that straightaway, and certainly the Lizard car and the 92 are really close behind him.
This will show it. This will show us right here.
Oh, there's contact there.
Oh, yeah, I think what it's...
he broke something, I think.
Yeah, I think he did. When he touched Scott Tucker, it may have cut down Scott's left rear. He lost some speed, was trying to feel the car out, and Billy just had nowhere to go and ran into the back of him. So the initial hit was what caused the problem. Tucker had the left rear going down, slowed, and then Auberlen was involved.
It's one of the highest speed sections of the racetrack, out of the kink, on the way down to Canada Corner. So if anything goes wrong there, it's a big problem. Scott Remke looks on. Yeah, just into the back of it a little bit, and I think probably just cut the tire down a little bit. That's all it took.
That was what we were seeing with the car weaving around from Scott Tucker's perspective. See there, Auberlen touches him there. Right now, there, Tucker's going to start weaving around a little bit.
Nobody knows where to go.
Yeah, because he would have slowed as well. When that car starts to move around, you're instinctively just going to lift on the gas pedal. Billy was right there, didn't expect that. You're full throttle at that stage of the circuit and hits him again.
Little contact in the beginning, that's what did the damage, but I think when Tucker lost it, at that point in time, Oberlin had nowhere to go. You also saw the 45 on the outside as well, so I don't really know where he could have gone at that point in time.
I think that was for Scott Tucker. He has 2 cars he's going to be driving here this weekend, so he still has an opportunity to get in the 95 car, currently driven by Andy Wallace.
Well, while these guys battle it out, there's also the Michelin Green X Challenge that's going on, a vital manufacturer competition within each of the 2010 American Le Mans Series races, and it rewards the greenest prototype and GT team at each event. The race car that goes the farthest, the fastest, with the smallest environmental impact registers the best score. You can follow the competition throughout the season at AmericanLeMans.com. Fans are seeing a good one. We still have a long way to go. There's a look at your class leaderboard. Johnny Mollem still doing a great job holding down the point in the number 12 Autocon entry. Make sure you check out the Speed Onboard Pass presented by Porsche Cayenne. It allows you to get a behind-the-wheel view of your favorite ALMS drivers for the ultimate 2-screen experience. The Speed Onboard Pass presented by Porsche Cayenne. Log on to speed.com, search keyword Porsche now. So the safety vehicles, making sure that everybody is okay. We saw Bill Oberlin climbing out of the 92. Scott Tucker trying to limp that damaged 55 back to pit road. Pits are open, and it looks like teams are setting up for stops.
Key is 2 hours, 16 minutes left in this race. If a driver gets out, that's not going to suffice. The driver rule, maximum of 2 hours. So if you do a driver change now, you're going to have to do another one. Otherwise, you'll be outside of that window.
Joey Hand in the number 90 BMW to the marks.
Number 90 is on pit road, Brian. The crew putting the fuel load of fuel in right now. They do have 4 new Dunlop tires out, which I'm a little bit surprised about. The team said that they had no problems double stinting these tires. Right now it's left sides on only. They're putting the right sides on as well. So it will be 4 new tires for the number 90, but the number 45 machine also on pit road. They had a very quick stop. Off of pit road, but the number 90 is out first.
Tell you what, the 61 got out. Johnny O'Connell in the number 3 got out in front of the 90 as well. Chris, what was going on at Corvette?
Well, you can see only the 3 car came in. When this caution came out and the team decided, let's split the strategy, Danny Binks raised his hand and said, we'd like to bring our car in, so the 4 car staying out on the racetrack. Corvette, the number 3 car, just taking fuel. Kind of surprised about that because Danny said, you know what, we're struggling right now in overall grip. Johnny just not happy with how that car is handling, but the team deciding not to put new rubber on it.
Yeah, Johnny really hasn't looked confident in the car. We saw this morning's warm-up. He locked up a couple of times. The front tires going down into some corners. They said it was on old tires, but he really had a moment there going through the carousel about a lap before this incident where he got very wide and lost that spot to Johannes van Overbeek. I thought it may have been tire pickup, we call it, with the marbles around the racetrack. Certainly during a caution you can pick those up, but that is a massive impact. Look at that. The speed you're going through that kink gap down that back straightaway, probably about 150 miles an hour when Billy Oberlin hit the wall there.
And I've got one word about that, Mosport.
Yeah, next weekend. These guys have a very quick turnaround. There's a test day, in fact, on Wednesday, which the majority of the front-running teams are hoping to make. So they've got a lot of work to do to get that car ready for next weekend.
Luckily for both drivers, they glanced down the wall versus getting turned into a head-on, because you're right, Calvin, 150+ mile per hour down there, and it's lined on both sides of the racetrack. You're not getting out of there free.
Well, we talk about the competition on the racetrack for the win overall and the win in your class, the Michelin Green X Challenge competition. We talked about that as well. Very early in the going right now, but the number 12 Autocon car out in front, Johnny Mollem out in front of the field and also out in front of the prototypes in the Michelin Green X Challenge. And don't forget, it's not only prototypes, GT classes as well. Take a look at that. The number 4 Corvette right now with Beretta behind the wheel, leading in the Michelin Green X Challenge, also leading GT on the racetrack. Both Corvettes running up 1 and 2 in the Michelin Green X Challenge. And they are really they've set the standard, I think, for green racing in the GT class. Doug Feehan, who leads that team, has always been very willing to embrace that greening of racing, let's say. they've been some of the first people to try to really get involved and make a difference.
And I think, you know, with the fact that the Corvette really don't look like they're going to be a contender for this championship, I spoke to Doug Feehan the other day. I said, does it allow you to be more aggressive with your strategy? And he said, no, we've got a long-term plan here. We recognize this year was going to be tough. We're really looking at year 2 and 3 beyond this to really come into our own in terms of championship potential. But this is the ideal scenario. You've got 2 cars, both running reasonably well, and you can roll the dice, Dorsey, on one of them. You know, change the strategy up a little bit, then you're covering all your bases.
Yeah, and they need to really learn this car. You know, I hate to say this, but a lot of the trouble they've had during the year has been their own doing. You know, they've had crashes in pit lanes. They've had all kind of things that just aren't reminiscent of what we're used to out of this team. They need to do these races like they're doing right now and learn these race cars.
Well, we need to, we talk about the American Le Mans Series being a leader in green racing. There's a look at your leaderboard right now. It's not just the American Le Mans Series. Road America, a leader in green racing as well. They run the TXGP Zero Carbon Clean Emission Grand Prix for motorcycles up here. But what about this vehicle from Navistar, the E-Star van, completely electric, can go 100 miles on a charge, and it is really designed to be an in-town delivery vehicle, and that is what Navistar has made it for. And it does a great job already. Some very well-known delivery companies beginning to place their orders for the E-Star. We'll be back. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine, by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and by Michelin, a better way forward. Crowd seeing a good one here. The weather absolutely perfect in the low 80s. A little barbecue going on. Expect Dorsey to be out there showing him how it's done since he's the king of the kettle.
I don't care how long he cooks that tin foil, it never tastes good.
Well, we talk about green racing and American Le Mans Series being the leader in green racing. We also saw what Navistar is doing with their E-Star program. And we talked about Corvette as well, but Paul Drayson and his Drayson Racing team well into the green thing as well. As a former Minister of Science and Innovation in England, he knows well the way.
You've probably noticed on the news, severe weather seems more frequent than it was when you were younger. Do you know severe droughts are twice as likely now as they were just in 1970? Another example of the effect of greenhouse gases. We've got to make sure that the average temperature of the planet doesn't increase by more than 2 degrees centigrade. And to do that, we've got to use science to both understand what's causing that increase and to come up with cool solutions to make sure it stops happening. Now, motor racing has always been a source of fantastic innovations. Going back to the first use of a rear view mirror was at Indianapolis. First time disc brakes were used was in the Le Mans race over in France in the late 1950s on a Jaguar. So here today in the American Le Mans Series, teams are trying new fuels, new technologies, new materials to reduce the carbon footprint that the cars have, but all through a focus on making the cars more efficient and winning races. Because if you can win the race to be green, you can also win the race on the track.
Drayson Racing certainly knows how to find speed out of the Lola that they've been piloting around this weekend. Remember, they qualified on the pole at Mid-Ohio and did it yet again here. Johnny Cocker, the only driver to have 2 poles this season. Certainly other teams have had poles, but Johnny Cocker well on his way to becoming a star in sports car racing, especially at such a young age. He is getting the job done. It looks like the wall repair has been completed on the back straightaway. We were talking about during the break, guys, these cautions being good for certain teams. I think for Johnny Mollem it's good as well. The Dunlop tires we've seen so far this season might go off a little bit earlier than these Michelins, and I think these short runs for Johnny Mollem are particularly good.
And also for their fuel strategy, the AER certainly running the speeds they're running here is pretty thirsty, and they were really tight on doing it on just 2 stops. So I think it's going to certainly help them with their fuel strategy in terms of hitting the windows to do it on just 2 stops today. For everyone else, they're putting fuel in the bank. They're not using it under this caution, and that certainly spreads how long they can run now before having to hit pit lane.
Dorsey, Michael Lewis's Autocon team, which fields that number 12 car that Johnny Mollem is in right now. A very small team, a small group of guys. How difficult, I know you've driven for big teams and small teams. How difficult is it for them to go do battle against the big boys And how much pride do they have when they see that car out?
Oh, the pride right now, I mean, they're just on top of the boxes yelling and screaming because they work just as hard as everybody else with less money to do it with. You know, that car's extremely fast in the right hands, Johnny Mullen, no question about that. But he's got a lot of work cut out for him, no question. He's got to get every advantage he can. He cannot let Simon Pagenaud get inside of him at the start like he's trying to do right now.
Well, he just realized, forget about the cornering speed. As soon as I light the torch here,
Yeah.
I'm going to take off. So that's one nice thing you have up your sleeve there. See one of the LMPC cars getting wide there. Dyson going to put the pressure on Pagenaud. Can he get by him down into turn 1?
Wow, the jump that Mullen got. He is clear, but right now, as you said, Chris Dyson looking around the outside of Pagenaud the long way. No, not this time.
And he tuck it back underneath. Chris has really got a lot of confidence. That is a momentum builder. Here he looks to the inside. What a move by Chris Dyson. Takes away second spot.
Nicely done. Set up perfectly coming out of turn 1. It's a much easier pass down here than it is into 1 anyway.
Now Timo Bernhard up behind Pagenaud, but we know that the Porsche RS Spyder does not have nearly the top speed that the HPD entry does. 3 very different cars as you ride on board with Timo Bernhard.
Remember, he's one of our Le Mans winners. Porsche loaned him, along with Romain Dumas, over to the Audi camp for this year's 24-hour race at Le Mans, and they went on a win alongside Mike Rockenfeller. And he has been an ace in one of these cars. He won the championship 2 times with teammate Romain Dumas.
Well, Calvin, this team obviously very excited to have a driver like Timo Bernhard injected into the team. But talking with Jeff Carter, who calls the shots on the team, he said, you know, it really kind of changed up my strategy going into this weekend. With Greg Pickett behind the wheel, it's always just been kind of easy. Greg needs to go out, make sure he does a good job in his opening stint. But as soon as the window opens that we can pull Greg out, we always put Klaus behind the wheel. Well, now with Timo here, we're likely going to leave him in the car a little bit longer, and it's going to change up our strategy, something that Jeff Carter isn't used to.
Dyson now has found his way all the way up alongside Johnny Mullen. He takes a look. Mullen defends. Now Dyson to the inside.
Yeah, Mullen just doesn't have the grip and may have got some pickup on his tires. He is really having to work hard to defend. Dyson, remember, they're on the Dunlop tires as well. He's looking for the lead.
This is good stuff. Look at Pagenaud. Timo Bernhard looks around the outside, then cuts back inside. A battle for the top 4 here in LMP.
But watch this straightaway speed all weekend long. It looks like the Porsche Spyder we're on board with struggles a little bit, but he's picking up the draft, Dorsey. That will keep the gap closer.
Draft is a very big thing here out here. 3 long straightaways. You definitely need to tuck up. That's what Chris Dyson did to get that advantage away.
One of the things you saw was Timo Bernhard faster through the carousel than Pagenaud in front of him. Different amounts of downforce on the HPD and the Porsche. 4 different, very, very different packages that you see running in the top 4 right now.
Dyson really aggressive right now. He's got to get up as close as he can, get up underneath Johnny Mullen and use that advantage. Look at this GT lead on the right side.
Oh, look at Mello. He gets the power down. He hugs the inside, just as he did at Mid-Ohio for the lead late in the going. He does it early on here to take the lead. What a strategy call by Reese. They've got that car back to the front.
And the silver Ford you see there is David Murray running in 3rd right now in GT. He did not pit. He's having a good go, trying to hold on to the back of the Corvette in front.
He has not shown the speed all during the week with that Ford GT. I don't know if they found something or if he's just giving us one of those drives that David Murray can do.
Right now, great battles all around the racetrack. LMP on your left, GT on your right. You ride on board with the 45.
That's tight, that's tight. Alongside the 3 car, Johnny O'Connell takes the position going up into turn 6.
Jörg Bergmeister slides through. Now Wolf Hensler in the number 17. All over the back bumper of O'Connell in the Corvette. Hensler in the blue and kind of turquoise colored number 17.
He's pretty chirpy this morning when I spoke to him during the autograph session with the fans here. He said, yes, this new tire is very, very good.
They're giving the 61 a warning, that's it. Keep after him.
Danny Binks. He was talking to coach there, just trying to keep Johnny motivated, but he's feeling the heat now from Wolf Hensler behind him. He's also a Le Mans winner. He won the GT2 class at Le Mans this year for Porsche.
I heard him say they're giving the 61 a warning, but
Might have been a little bump in there before
61 is well out of the way there.
I think that's Danny's way of saying nothing's going to happen. You're going to have to catch him on.
Put your head down and drive. Joey Hand working his way back up. He flashed out of the screen there on the left. Now Hensler really taking the battle to the Corvette. 2 very different tire manufacturers here as well, and you got to give it to the 17 team. The Falcon tire on that car, very different than the Michelin in front, but they did test here earlier in the year. They have some good data, and when you have a team like that developing a tire, anytime you can test, it's good.
Well, they tested here and actually built the tire specifically off of that test for this event. So this is a tire made for this race.
We told you Road America was about close competition, as you see Joey Hand closing up on the back of the number 61. Pierre Caffer in the 61, the red Ferrari with the yellow window banners. He's trying to get the job done. As we take a quick break, it's Johnny Mullen still leading, but Andy Wallace doing a great job. Jamie Mello, Romeo Caputia coming back as well in GT Challenge. The fans, they're loving it. We hope you are too. We'll be back right after this. $18 laps in the books from Road America in round 7 of the American Le Mans Series. This first hour on Speed brought to you by Porsche. And there is a Porsche right now, the 23, Romeo Caputia, who leads the GT Challenge class. Interesting because we saw Caputia with a problem earlier when Duncan Indy spun off in Canada Corner and got stuck in the gravel. We saw Caputia limping away and up the hill, but they've obviously gotten the problems on the 23 sorted out. Caputia now leads that class as he streaks down the back straightaway into Canada Corner.
Actually turned around on the edge of the Canada Corner before that wreck happened, and we just saw him limping up out of there. I don't know if that was a simple spin, but obviously it has not affected his race right now.
Well, I think Alex Joe brought some strategy there. I think the remainder of the GTC front runners made some pit stops, whereas this car, the 54 car, and the 23 have elected not to. So it's all about hitting your pit windows. You can certainly roll some dice and try and work with your strategy a little bit, but they'll know what their fuel numbers are and what they need to hit.
Tim Pappas, Jerome Bleekemolen in the 54, the Black Swan entry, commanding this championship, it seems, as of late. You see the 54 right behind the 23, the 54, the white and green Porsche, the 23 that flashes by black with the green stripes, Patron livery on the side. But Bleekemolen and Pappas have just been, I don't want to say untouchable, but they have been incredibly strong.
They have been very strong. They missed the first round, of course, and then they switched over to this category. And these cars are bullet fast down the straightaway. You see there, they're pretty flat-sided on this variation of the Porsche, so there's not a big air like a parachute that they have to pull through the air. And down these straightaways, they really haul.
I was speaking with Tim Pappas earlier in the weekend, and he said, you know, we definitely have an advantage because we have Jerome Bleekemolen in the car with us. He is a 2-time Super Cup champion for Porsche, but he believes that their other advantage is just their team. He feels like they have a great crew in place. They have a full-time strategist on call. They don't think that the other GTC teams do. Some of them do, some of them don't, but they do have a very strong team and a lot of experience having raced in the American Le Mans Series in the GT2 class before, and so they feel that right now their team is their advantage.
Well, you talk about Bleekemolen being a champion in the Super Cup Series. That's the thing I think is so great about these challenge classes. It's not just Pro-Am drivers. You've got guys like Bleekemolen, and when you look at the LMP challenge category, you've got Andy Wallace, who's leading that one. Wallace is a winner at Sebring. He's a winner at Le Mans. He's won at Petit Le Mans. And those are the kind of drivers, the caliber of drivers, and the caliber of teams that you have in the challenge classes. And there's a look at Andy Wallace right there.
Yeah, and he's a Le Mans winner. Christophe Bouchou will not see action today with the accident in the other car. So big question mark is, where is Scott Tucker and how's he doing, Chris?
Well, I just checked in with the team, Calvin, and they said Scott Tucker is okay. He hasn't made his way back over to pit lane, but he will be able to get behind the wheel of that car as long as he checks out in medical, and the team is anticipating that he will check out in medical. But what a weekend for this team. They blew up 3 motors in practice, something that they're still really scratching their heads and trying to figure out why they had those motor failures. And then obviously this crash really threw another curveball at them, because this team, they've got to be ready for Mossport next week, and they're gunning for this championship. And to lose those motors and crash a car really doesn't put them in a good position for next weekend. But the great thing is Scott Tucker can get back behind the wheel today.
Well, that's the important thing that we talked about at the opening of the show. The fact that we leave this racetrack, go straight directly to Mossport up in Canada. It's a double back-to-back weekend. You need to get the most points you can, because when you get to that finale down there at Petit Le Mans Road Atlanta, you know, you've got more points to gain there, but you also have to go a much further distance to get those points. So this is a huge setback. These guys got to do a lot of work to do in a week.
It really was. I spoke to David Stone this morning, who's team manager there at level 5. He said, I'm very nervous losing these motors. And this is a very reliable power plant, this Corvette motor. I mean, no one else, no other team in this championship has lost motors other than level 5, and they've blown up 4 of them now, 3 this weekend alone. They had to go down to Chicago because there were no engines available in the paddock, buy what we call a crate motor, straight off the shelf from a Chevrolet dealership, do the subtle changes, which is not a lot to make them race ready. But this weekend, they're going to have the people from Milan down at their shop in Madison, Wisconsin, getting extra engines ready for next week at Mosport.
Well, Calvin, the 52 car, this team really excited about having Luis Diaz helping them out. I talked to Bobby Oracle about their qualifying session where they were over a second quicker than the rest of the field, and he said, you know, it's just a lot of things really were coming together for us. And then when we had Luis Diaz come on the team at Mid-Ohio, it was like throwing gasoline on a fire, everything that he could bring to this team and help us really verify what we were thinking. So they're just having a wonderful weekend. And Calvin, you were talking about reliability in these engines. This team has been running the same motor since Long Beach, and they're anticipating that after Petit Le Mans, they'll still have another 3 hours to go on this motor, and the only thing they've done this year is change the oil.
Well, the one thing about losing 3 engines in one weekend is you would hope that they all broke the same thing. Unfortunately, in the case of this situation, is they did not break the same thing. One of them broke one thing, 2 of them broke something different. So you can't point your finger at a part and say this part is what's malfunctioned. They have a problem. It's a niggling problem, which nobody is able to understand because it's the only team having any trouble at all.
Diaz qualified the 52 on the pole in the LMP Challenge class. Great to have names like Luis Diaz and Andy Wallace in the class. 2 of the most popular drivers out there, that is for sure. And fan voting for the most popular driver and fan nominations for the special from the fans is now open on AmericanLeMans.com. You log on today to cast your vote for your favorite driver and tell us who you think has made a particularly significant contribution to the American Le Mans Series in 2010. That's AmericanLeMans.com. Thursday, strap in for an action-packed night on speed. At 8, grassroots drag racers compete for cash and prizes on Pink's All Out. Then at 10, it's a battle of the super sedans as the Cadillac CTS-V takes on the Mercedes AMG on an all-new Battle of the Supercars presented by Michelin. Thursday, beginning at 8 Eastern on speed. And I'll tell you what, sometimes traffic works for you, sometimes it works against you, but it certainly makes it exciting. It's doing that here at Road America.
It really did. Simon Pagenaud just scraped his way around this guy, Chris Dyson, that we're on board with. Timo Bernhard was trying to take advantage too as everyone stacked up there coming through Canada corner area.
And they had Johnny Mollem caught. You see it right here. There's Johnny Mollem in the orange car. Everybody's stacked up behind the BMW Corvette. There you see Simon to the inside, takes the lead, or takes that position, I should say, away.
Well, Chris didn't want to be aggressive on Johnny Mollem. He didn't think there was a way through, but whilst he waited, that opened up the door for Simon Pagenaud. There you see it. Chris thinks, no, I'm not going to go for it. Simon says, okay, I'll take advantage of that situation. Slides through to second, and meanwhile, Timo Bernhard is now right on the gearbox of Chris Dyson.
All right, Johnny Mollem has escaped. Pulled away a little bit, things have settled back down, but as soon as they catch traffic, it'll close back up. Now, we questioned the amount of downforce that was running on the one car. Remember, they've switched to a Le Mans-type downforce setting and bodywork on that car. They can't change back. All they can do is kind of balance what they have. But Calvin Dorsey, we questioned why would they take downforce off of it. Yes, this is a long racetrack, but you need it for traffic. They said, we want to be able to slice through at the end of the straightaways. Maybe that's what we're seeing.
Well, you know, my experience here running in prototypes is that you need the downforce on the car to be able to get the car stable from the high speed to the low speed braking. There's 3 of those a lap, and those are places where you also make passes. So I don't know that I agree right now.
Oh, Mollem, they're very slow off kind of the corner. Is he out of juice?
He might be. He was supposed to pit in 3 laps. Heard that on the radio.
May have had to switch over to the reserve. Typically a reserve pump will give you maybe a lap, maybe 2, but he may be hitting pit road right there. Hopefully it's nothing more serious, because that was a great opening stint by Johnny Mollem.
Spectacular stuff by Mollem and the Autocon team to keep him out in front. He ran a great race, fought with the traffic, fought with the GT cars and the other LMP cars as well. Hopefully it's just a fuel bobble and nothing back in the engine compartment.
Well, they had talked about coming in 4 a lap ago.
Coming in 5th gear, just at 60.
Coming in 5th gear does not sound good.
He's got, maybe at the end of that straightaway, he wasn't able to get it downshifted through the gears.
The small team has had problems, but unlike the Intersport team, it's been more driveline related. Is that what we have here?
I'm stuck in 5th.
Stuck in 5th.
There you
I'm
go.
going to kill it, okay, but it's in 5th.
That's why he couldn't accelerate off the Canada corner. And immediately Pagenaud swept by for the lead.
Interesting. Driveline issues have been their Achilles heel this year. The team has run well. Tommy Dreese ran well in this car at Long Beach and a great run at Mid-Ohio to finish 3rd, and now gearbox problems, Jamie.
Well, Johnny Mullen has gotten out of the car. The crew's gone to work on it. Brian Willman standing by, so they will be doing the driver change here if they get the car back out. But doing so well here this weekend, this is just icing on the cake. I talked to Johnny Mullen earlier this week, and he said the plan was always he was going to be with the team at Mosport. 3 weeks ago, they called him and said, is there any way you could do Road America also? We really want to prep the car, get ready for Mosport. But he said, be ready for us at the next round, because that's really when we're going after it. Brian Willman behind the car now. Crew is going to put 4 new tires on it. Not sure if they're going to still have that issue with being stuck in 5th gear, though.
You need the 7mm, the narrow 7mm.
Well, they used to have an option on the back of these cars to go from that paddle shifter and go back to a manual gear shift lever up in the car. I don't know if this car is still equipped that way, Calvin, or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, Dorsey, but this is devastating under green flag conditions. You catch a problem like this is under yellow is one thing, but even though it's a long lap, if you do go down a lap here, it's a long day ahead of you. Such a shame because the car was running great and Johnny drove the perfect race. 52 is in, running 2nd in LMPC. So they're starting to hit their window. They will do it on one more stop to get it to the checkered flag today. Looks like Diaz is in. You see the change of helmet color in, and certainly there sufficed the driver rule. No driver could do more than 2 hours here today.
A flash fire at the back of that car was put out right away. Heads up by the fire marshal.
Crew goes to work on the gearbox of the 12. Ricardo Gonzalez in the 52. Yes, he's handed it over to Luis Diaz, but what a job he did. He was out there running in lockstep with Le Mans winner Andy Wallace, and that's what we were talking about, how great this LMP Challenge category is, not only for the fans to watch it, but for the drivers. You can get out there and run with a pro guy like Andy Wallace. Ricardo Gonzalez was doing a great job.
Look at the left bank. Left bank is eating something. That's not good at all.
Is that merely the exhaust? No. That is one of the new mufflers. You see it.
That is the packing of the exhaust, Brian. You're absolutely right. These are new exhausts that were just allowed to be put on, and they have replaceable packing, or the packing itself and the inside of it is able to be changed. I think it's just spit out all of the guts of the inside of that muffler. That looked like pieces of the engine. It would be done by now if that were the case.
I think perhaps, like you were saying, just the packing there, but that is the new muffler. It is round. If you see one of the LMP Challenge cars with an oblong-shaped muffler, that is the older one. The 4 car now in. They are doing a driver change as well.
First pit stop of the day. Remember, they took the strategy of not pitting under caution, so Beretta started this race. Driver change, going to be Ollie Gavin, who put in a sensational lap for the pole. He stalls it momentarily. These are the mistakes that will kill you.
All clear, all clear.
Couple of seconds there.
And you can't afford it, not at a racetrack this long with the speeds at which the other cars are going. 2 seconds sitting there on pit lane is another football field or so on the racetrack for your competitors. You cannot afford to make those mistakes.
Meantime,
look at this.
Oh, that was
tight.
close.
That's the leader of this race. He was going inside. Tim Pappas there. And boy, oh boy.
That was close.
Gavin coming out of pit road and Pagenaud working his way past the 54 of Tim Pappas, and it got close. Take a look. Here comes Gavin in the Corvette, the yellow car on your left. Here comes Pagenaud, and man, things close down in a hurry, and that is a high-stakes game of poker.
176 miles an hour there on the entry to turn 1. You're threading the needle.
The bad news on Johnny Mullen's car in the meantime, heard on the radio, the shift actuator is broken off on the outside of that gearbox. So I don't know if they can fix that or not. We'll keep abreast as it comes back out or not.
Disappointment for the Autocon team, but they've got to be proud of the job that they have done. We were talking about the aerodynamics on the 1 car and the decision that was made by the Patron Highcroft team to run that lower aerodynamic package. They thought they could get by 2 cars at a time. Chris, it seems to be working for them right now.
Yeah, Brian, and I wanted to come and find some of the spare bodywork down here to show you guys what you were talking about. And this is the nose on the car, and we can see that even though a big dive plane here, this is a little bit smaller than what we typically see on the car. And then also the louver package here, nice flat louver package, actually closed up in the center, so not pulling a lot of air out of there. But the interesting thing is there are different configurations that they can run of this package, but the team said they do a lot of simulation work. They looked at the configurations. They realized that with this package, it's going to give them a little bit more straight line speed. The car might not have great overall grip, but later in the race, they think that the car is definitely going to come in and probably be about 0.8 of a lap quicker than going to a little bit higher downforce configuration of the Le Mans package. Jamie?
Well, Chris, and down at Autocon Motorsport and Johnny Mullen just talked to the team. They said it's going to be about a 5-minute fix in pit lane, but you had a great stint. Is this what you were expecting when you came in this weekend?
To be quite honest with you, secretly I was. The Autocon team are a very underrated team. Just because they haven't got a massive budget like some of the other teams, you know, doesn't mean that they're not a really well put together team, and they've worked so well with myself and Tony Burgess and Brian Willman to get this car handling quite well, actually, and it goes so quick down the straights. It obviously gives us an advantage, and I had a really good run. I had a fight with Simon Pagenaud, I had a fight with Chris Dyson, both of them very clean, and then going into Canada corner, I had 3 laps left to go in my stint, and went for downshifts, and I couldn't downshift. I was stuck in 5th. I had to coast all the way back in, and it broke the actuator rod at the back. So I'm just gutted for the team because it was such a good run, and to lead every lap up until that point, and my times were pretty much the same as everybody else until the very end. I was eating my rear tyres a little bit. It was getting a little bit skatey on the brakes, but I'm just gutted for the team. I had fun, but I feel bad for them.
Certainly was a great run, and guys, they are coming off of their best finish on the podium at Mid-Ohio. They did finish 3rd, so now all they can do is look forward to Mosport.
Well, it was a great run for Johnny Mullen, and now we've got an intense battle at the front. Simon Pagenaud trying to hold off Chris Dyson. American Le Mans Series competition from Road America. It doesn't get any better than this. The crews, they're trying to use their strategy to get to the front. Some of them, it's not working out. We'll be back.
The American Le Mans Series, world-class drivers, premier road courses, and cutting-edge technology. Born in France in 1923, with the first running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the American Le Mans Series is the glory and the grueling reality of world-class sports car racing. Drivers from around the world strut their speed, skill, and endurance. 4 separate classes racing on the track at the same time. It is the chain that connects the new and the faithful sports car fans of an extraordinary racing tradition. This is the American Le Mans Series.
It has been a typical American Le Mans Series battle up front. Right now you see Simon Pagenaud, no one else around him, and that is not the way it has been for most of the day. In fact, as we were in break, the 16 of Chris Dyson, who had been right there on the back of that HPD entry, has come to pit road. He made a pit stop, and now full course caution flies yet again. I understand it's for the number 75, the Jaguar.
And this is big, because remember, when we go to a full course caution, pit lane is closed, so this will stop Pagenaud from making that pit stop. Remember, Dyson pitted, and Simon Pagenaud will need fuel here shortly. He's going to have to pit under green, essentially, or when the pit lane opens, and that will shuffle him back in line. So great break there for the Dyson team.
Well, Calvin, just listening to the team, both Muscle Milk and Highcroft were hoping to go about another 5 laps longer than the Dyson car. So they were ready in case we went full course caution, but they were hoping to stretch those cars another 5 laps to the 16 car.
And the 16 car is out with fresh tires. When they were in, they took 4 new tires, did a driver change, so they also have the fresh driver of Guy Smith behind the wheel right now. His head's down and he's ready to go.
So I don't think the issue is can they make it around. They're not low enough that they won't be able to make it back to the pits, but it does throw off their strategy. They won't be able to go quite as far as they had wanted to, as you see Pagenaud right now behind the pace car, and then the 6, Timo Bernhard, behind the wheel of that number 6 Muscle Milk Porsche RS Spider right there as well. I'd like to welcome to the booth President and CEO of the American Le Mans Series. That's one of the hats. I know you got a bunch, Scott Atherton, and it's great to see you here. I know you ordered the weather, and it worked out just the way you ordered it.
Yeah, we put this order in a year ago, so I got to say I'm happy about the delivery of that.
I'm hoping that you can do something about Petite this year if you're ordering weather right now.
Yeah, we might have got the date screwed up a little bit here. But
hey, just real quickly before we talk about 2011 and the schedule, I want to commend you. We sat here 2 years ago, and we talked about challenge classes. and what they were going to be. And you were just sitting here listening to us a moment ago talk about both LMPC and GTC and what these challenge classes have brought competition-wise, but also what it's meant to the series. I think the vision there was spot on.
Well, I appreciate the comments, and I agree. You know, we had a whole group session many times to make those tough decisions to bring these classes in. To be completely candid, they have exceeded our highest expectations. It's brought new teams, new drivers, new manufacturers in that have truly contributed to what we are putting on the track.
And it's a great product indeed. Now let's talk about where the product is going to run in 2011. Obviously, we're going to start with Sebring. That is one of the two bookends on the season.
Exactly right. That's a historical starting point for us, the Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring. You know, we were able to announce our schedule today, which we've never done it this early in the history of the series. It gives everybody the benefit of as much advanced planning as they possibly could have. I think it's positive for all involved.
Then we go to Long Beach. We noticed July 3rd, it says to be determined.
Yeah, we have two of those. We have a TBD and a TBA on there. We felt it was more important to get the rest of the schedule out, knowing that we still have some details to look after. On that July date, that is the one that's still a work in progress. The other, which comes up in September, a little bit later in the season there, is a done deal. It's just not appropriate for public announcement just yet.
Okay.
Scott, we're looking ahead to 2011, but we're in the heart of this championship fight right now. A lot on the line. This next 8 days is certainly critical for these teams. They really have to set themselves up going to Petit, but Petit is a special event this year.
It has always been a special event. It's established itself as truly one of the iconic endurance races on a global scale. This year, that stock even gets raised higher because of its status as being part of the Intercontinental Le Mans Cup. That's going to attract the two Audis, the two Peugeots, many other entries both in LMP and GT out of Europe. I won't try to announce something that's not ready for an announcement today, but our goal and expectation is that the entries for Petit is going to start with a 5.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up right there, because we haven't seen an entry like that at Petit or at many races, to be honest with you, for several years, going back, I think, to 2002.
That's exactly right.
That we haven't had a 50-plus car field. That's awesome. I think the Petit, without question, is the premier road race that I would send anyone to that's never been to a road race. If you want to see a real road race and what it's about, that's the one to go to.
Yeah, a couple added extras this year as well with the Porsche GT3 Hybrid coming. When you look at what's going to be demonstrated on that grid in terms of technology and the forward-thinking application of what we're doing on the racetrack to the future of road cars, we'll have E10, E85 cellulosic ethanol, clean diesel, isobutanol, and hybrid technologies all competing together at the same time.
Well, you know, we're used to seeing 2-hour and 45-minute races in between the bookends, let's say. Yeah, the 6 hours that we see Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, but I heard you earlier today say that may not be the case at all of the rest of those typical sprint races that we've seen.
Well, there's some that will continue for sure to be the, I guess what would be called a traditional 2-hour and 45-minute format, which is what we're running today. We're also very receptive to fan feedback. You know, Don Panos founded this series with For the Fans being part of the logo. We live that every day, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of these events be expanded into a more true endurance format, and that's all feedback from fans.
And I'm sure the fans would love to see that, and since Scott wants to get feedback for the fans, we'll put his cell phone number up on a graphic, but we're going to have to take a quick break from Road America. Under caution right now, we'll get the field line back up. Simon Pagenaud out in front right now. Elton Julian leads LMPC. Expect a good one when we come back. Back at Road America, pit stops now taking place under full course caution, and the leader is in. Chris?
Yeah, both the Highcroft and the Muscle Milk machine in pit lane. We see these driver change happening right now. The Muscle Milk car, this is the first time we're seeing that driver change between Timo and Klaus. Looks like everything went smooth and well there. Still waiting on fuel on the 6 car, while the 1 car done with fuel. So this team being a little bit quicker. It looks like the Highcroft car might be out. Oh, looks like David Brabham having a problem with his right shoulder belt. So a little bit slow here on this driver change. David Brabham not able to get the shoulder belt in. So it looks like the 6 car is going to beat the 1 car out. Jamie.
Another one that got beat out of pit lane was the number 62 of Risi Competizione. Jamie Malo brought the car to pit lane, but they did the driver change, 4 new tires and fuel. The 45 car also pitted for the same thing. They, however, did it faster. 45 beat them out of pit road.
We said you cannot make those kind of mistakes. If you're going to make them, under yellow is the place to get it done. And so really kind of, they lost the position, but they'll be right there on the back of the 6 car when it's time to do the restart. Interesting, you talk about the shoulder belts. It's not just as easy as getting in and putting them on. You've got to get them on top of that Hans device, and if they're not there, you can't go. It's not safe to go. It's not legal to go. You shouldn't do it.
And one of the problems is the helmet and the aerodynamic devices on the helmet. This is a high-speed track. When you bend your neck forward to try to look to put that belt back in, that lower lip on that helmet digs into your chest and doesn't allow your eyes to see down there. So you're feeling around and you really don't have a way to know where is that slot to put that belt in.
All right, Scott, we were talking about Petit just before we went to break. Entry you're anticipating starts with a 5, and I think this year it's going to be incredibly interesting because we're going to have multiple classes. That Porsche GT3 hybrid, that's going to be special.
It will. You know, this car truly represents not just the state of the art, but it's the future of the art. And this is the future of high performance technology. That car will be running unclassified. We are allowing it simply to demonstrate the technology and frankly to give the technical staff of both our own staff and the ACO an opportunity to gather a lot of data. So as they write rules for the future, they'll know from real life experience what that car's capable of.
I think in years past, we've thought of hybrids as a way to save fuel and go get groceries on the street. Interesting to see that Porsche 911 GT3 hybrid run at the front at the 24 hours in the Nürburgring and such in sports car races in Europe. We're going to have an opportunity to see it over here, and that is great, great news. Thank you for stopping by, Scott. We appreciate it. Great news coming to the future, and as I said, when we look back 2 years ago in the challenge classes, your vision has certainly come true. The vision right now of the fans, they're waiting to see green yet again from here at round 7 of the American Le Mans Series at Road America. When they do, David Brabham will be up front, but I can tell you, plenty of cars looking to take his spot. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by the 2011 Jaguar XJ, the stunning result of taking a very different road. It is an absolutely gorgeous day here in the Kettle Moraine area of Wisconsin. The dogs are out, the fans are out, everybody's enjoying a good one. When we went to break, I said David Brabham was in front. Timing and scoring has cycled through. And indeed, it's Guy Smith in the number 16 Dyson Lola up front, powered by Mazda, that isobutanol fuel in the back. Klaus Graf second, David Brabham is third, then Johnny Cocker. It's lining up to be a good one at the end. Cocker now in the 8.
Yeah, and he's on the lead lap. I mean, his teammate Paul Drayson did an awesome job there. A couple of yellows help, but he was running very fast laps within about 3 seconds of the leaders, so that 8 car is very much in the mix here.
Good to see the 1 car running at the front and strong. Simon Pagenaud is out, Brabham is in. Chris?
And Simon's had a chance to catch his breath. Simon, the 6, the 1, and the 16, all going about the same speed out there, but doing it in different ways. How does the Highcroft car stack up to the competition?
Well, I think we're looking really strong. I'm really happy. You know, we've been talking about this low kit drag for a long time, and it's now showing off. I mean, we've got the good speed, stop speed at the end of the straights, so we can pass cars, which is very enjoyable. And then you could see on that first lap, the car is pretty good. We were having a little bit of understeer, but we fixed it for David, I hope. So, you know, I think it'll be very strong by the end of the race. And, you know, we're just looking at the big picture here, championship, you know, with 3 races before the end of the championship. So we need to keep the Muscle Meat car behind us. And why not challenging for the win today, because I think we've got a good race car for it.
I think you guys have spoken to everyone on our speed team this weekend about the car, because we thought it looked a little bit twitchy. You needed some more downforce, but you guys said we want top speed. Obviously, you made the right decision.
Yeah, Road America is all about speed in the straights. Obviously, you still want to have, you know, a lot of downforce in the corner. It's a trade-off. It's a little bit like the Indy 500, you know. So it's, I think it's looking good for us here this weekend. So I'm very happy about all the work we've done with the engineers at Highcroft Racing. I think it was a great call from them. And it was definitely you know, a good discussion between the drivers and everybody in the team. So it's great to put off such a good race car today.
Well, we'll see if David Brabham can put it back in the top spot. Jamie?
Well, another one that's got their work cut out for him now is Risi Competizione, Jamie Malo. I know you weren't happy with the car earlier in the weekend. You qualified 7th, but with early strategy calls by the team, able to lead. Is the car stronger now than it was early?
Yeah, we improved a bit the car from yesterday, and yeah, the strategy is going well. So I could keep also very good lap time and very consistent lap times as well. So I think the car is handling quite well. Hopefully Jimmy can drive as Mio was driving. But yeah, we gotta wait and see how the race is going on.
You're beat out of pit lane by the number 45 Flying Lizard. This is for the championship now. So does Jimmy have a car that can get around him?
I think so. I think we got a strong car, and he's on tires as well. So I think it's really consistent. So I hope he can get it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
The 45 car runs third right now in the GT class. We saw the damage there where Jörg Bergmeister got involved when Billy Oberlin had that hit with Scott Tucker. So certainly Pat Long, as we see behind the wheel now, will have to come to grips if there's any imbalance with the car. But these two cars here, just pitted, of course. The cars that are in front of them right now, pitted on lap 10. That's Wolf Hensley runs second, Johannes van Overbeek. So the Lizard car and the Risi car have 20 more laps of fuel on board. That'll be significant as we wind down this race.
You see the damage to the front of the 45, so that car not at 100%. It was interesting to hear Simon Pagenaud say it's a bit like the Indy 500. Remember, he got his start in open wheel cars. He actually clinched his Atlantic Championship at this very racetrack in 2006. There's been a lot of speculation as to how many IndyCar teams are actually interested in Simon Pagenaud. I talked to him about that a little earlier in the year, and he said he wants to win the Indy 500 and he wants to win Le Mans, but right now he's closer to Le Mans. He's going to give that another 5 years or so, see if he can't maybe attack the Indy 500.
And Brian, actually, I was talking to Simon this morning about that, and he was saying, you know, I'd kind of like to get to Indy a little bit sooner than that, and the team is actually thinking about doing it with him. So they might be looking at 2011 as a year that the team might take a chance to try and do the Indy 500 and do it with Simon.
That would be interesting indeed, but right now it's back to American Le Mans Series competition and sports cars. Andy Wallace, the first class leader, takes the green flag.
That's right, we don't always pick up the overall lead of the race. That is the car third in line there, that white car with Guy Smith behind the wheel. That's the overall leader. Andy Wallace still leads the LMPC class. And the other cars there filing through turn one. This is hairy stuff. There you see Klaus Graf go by, closely followed by David Bram as they head down to turn 3 in amongst the GT traffic.
All four classes of competition are right in there. You're right on board with Klaus Graf. Car moving around a little bit past the 45 Flying Lizard Porsche. Right there, the 17 in front, working his way, and you see the speed differential, and there goes another one of the prototypes. That is David Brabham in the 1.
This is for position. Pat Long looking to the inside of Wolf Hensley, trying to take away that second spot. Porsche versus Porsche. Van Overbeek still in the lead, right ahead of him in the Patron Ferrari.
And it's really hairy with the prototype guys mixing it up, trying to get through these guys clean. It's not easy.
Interesting to see Patrick Long block a little bit there on the prototype. He just said, hey, I need my line. I need to get through here at speed. And you see the 63, one of the GT Challenge cars, the blue Porsche right there. Patrick Long, and then, goodness, Johnny Cocker in the 8 that you ride on board with, trying to get to the front himself.
Well, you got to do it. You can't wait on these guys. They're having their own race, but the race that you want is up in front there. Oh, two wheels off in the dirt. We saw a big crash yesterday there.
By that very car.
By that car. Yeah. It met that bridge abutment yesterday.
Jimmy Bruni now on the tail of Wolf Hensler. Are those Michelins coming up to temperature and pressure a little bit quicker here? Can he take advantage? Past high-speed King there. That is essential on the run down to Canada corner. Jimmy Bruni probing, looking for that third spot.
Riding on board the 90. You see the LMP Challenge car go by. That is Dirk Mueller now behind the wheel. Joey Hand had such a great run in that BMW. A little bit earlier, they have changed drivers during pit stops. Good stuff as the field gets sorted out on this first lap after the restart. Just over 4 miles here at Road America. It takes a while to get this thing sorted out.
I don't know about sorted out or not. It looks to me like there's still a war going on. These cars all accelerate and run really close on the same straightaway speeds, as you can see right here. It makes it very, very congested at these restarts.
62, Bruni right there with the 17, trying to get the draft, the LMP Challenge car on the outside. Bruni says, can I get a little tow from him? Gets side by side with Hensler, and they roughed him up a little bit.
Oh, Jimmy Bruni down the inside. Wow. I think it's Kyle Marcelli there in that LMPC car. And look at this.
That's going to stack everybody up going down to turn 3.
That's Gunnar Jeanette. He's looking for a way through as well. The various classes mixing it up. They have advantages in different sections of this racetrack. Some under braking, some down the straightaways.
On board with Mueller. Let's see what kind of top speed he has compared to the Porsche in front. BMW versus Porsche in the tow.
Boy, and the BMW showed good top end on the numbered chart.
Mueller looks to the inside. Hensler in the blue portion to the outside. Mueller takes it. Not easily, but he takes it.
You got to think about it. Hensler's been out there a lot longer on those tires. We talked about fuel, but also tires. 20 more laps on board. And the problem is when you don't come in, you get pickup on these tires. You're on hot tires versus cold tires. The other teams that pitted took fuel, took fresh tires. Those tires are cold. They're not going to pick up all these marbles, all this debris. So it's very hard for the drivers who stayed out on hot tires to clean those tires off on these restarts. That could be an issue for Hensler right now.
And you talk about marbles. Look as they go into the carousel outside the line. We've seen a lot of marbles, a lot of that rubber out on the outside of the line. Look at it through there.
You wouldn't want to be out there, that's for sure, because once you're out there, you're not coming back in.
Back up front, the 6 has gotten past the 1. Guy Smith continues to lead, but Klaus Graf has gotten past the number 1, the 8. Wednesday Speed Primetime hits the gas with an all-new episode of the original stunt riding series, Stealth Rider, at 8. Then at 10, it's Intersections, where man and machine are pushed to the limit. Get your heart racing Wednesday, starting at 8 Eastern on Speed. Under full course caution here again at Road America. A problem for the 48 car, Bryce Miller with the GTC entry on the front straightaway, and for Andrea Robertson on or out of the kink and down towards Canada Corner. You see the 48, Bryce Miller pulling behind the wall. Robertson had a suspension issue. See the safety cars there on the scene to pick up the pieces of the body work.
Wow, I don't know about that, boys. It looks like some sort of a failure. For sure, the worst wreck you could possibly have is always at the straightaway, and it's, yeah, there's something.
There's nobody around him.
That's not in a brake zone or anything. That's something on the car braking.
The car just turns violently to the right. It moved the wall a little bit. I understand the 39 is also stopped, so a problem for them as well. We'll get things sorted out. That's the 36, I should say.
Yeah.
We talked about the suspension issue for Andrea Robertson in the 40.
Which wasn't related to this straightaway thing. Hers broke going through the carousel. She said she felt a clunk, heard a noise, looked in the rearview mirror, saw smoke.
Not really the place you want to have a suspension failure.
And I'll tell you what's certainly critical here. You look at the clock ticking away, 1 hour, 4 minutes. That will put a lot of people now, if they pit right now, into their fuel ones to make the checker. Here we see the right rear suspension failure on Andrea Robertson.
Oh, and she's all locked up.
Yeah, and you can see the cross weight. It takes the weight off that left front diagonally across the car. Does a good job of blowing it down there, not getting into the gravel trap, and then talking it through with her crew, getting it back to the car. And when we talk about crossweight, essentially, if you lose tire pressure or you lose suspension in one corner, that is diagonally transferred across the car, so it makes that right front light as she was, or the left front light as she's braking for the corner.
When we talk about Andrea Robertson getting the tires rolling again, a crossweight in the car, all of that is a function of not only the chassis, but the tire as well. And it's always great to have Michelin around so that they can make sure that we understand about tires, not only for the race car, but for the street cars as well. We're going to look at pit stops right now.
Yeah, we talked about the clock just over now. Look at Lizards. They didn't need a lot of fuel. Looks like the 45 has jumped around Dirk Mueller. And remember, a lot of these other guys, like Johannes van Overbeek, they've got to do a driver change there, get Scotty Sharp in, and they need a lot more fuel to top him off. So this is why we're seeing changes for position, and this is critical at this stage of the championship.
Well, pretty interesting pit stops there, guys, and pretty chaotic in GT. Definitely the BMW just taking fuel, so they leapfrogged quite a few cars. And the 3 Corvette, I was a little too far away to see if they took tires, but the 3 car looked like it pretty much held station in its spot, where the 4 car slipping back a little bit further.
Don't believe the 45 took tires. It was just fuel only. It was so fast, and that was an impressive stop for sure. He'll jump up. That was impressive. The 62 stays behind him. 90 back there, so impressive as well. The 62 fuel only, we understand. So Patrick Long should now have fuel to go to the end.
Yeah, and the reason they didn't take tires because they were in about 10 laps ago, so it's been a very short stint. However, you see more debris there. That's on the run down to turn 5. This debris is everywhere. You got to be careful you don't cut down one of these tires.
And particularly the guys that didn't change tires, because those tires are warm and they are definitely going to pick up anything on that racetrack and cut that tire easier than if they'd taken tires on.
Well, we were just talking about tires, and we were going to head down to Jamie with a Michelin Tire Tech piece, so let's head down to Jamie. Tell us about tires.
Well, Brian, let's talk about fuel economy. When you think of the fuel economy, you usually don't think of tires, but perhaps you should. The experts at Michelin say that the rolling resistance counts for about 20% of the energy that a vehicle uses. So by choosing the right tire, you could save as much as 1 to 2 miles per gallon. Now, Michelin's been developing low rolling resistant tires since about 1992, and their top tires earned the Michelin Green X seal for delivering their excellent rolling resistance while still maintaining the handling, braking, and getting the great wear. But here at Road America, the tires are going to rotate over 2,900 times per lap. On your street car, though, your tires can rotate over 50 million times over the course of their lifetime. So just like improving the lap times, every little bit helps, even with your street car.
So if I get my motor coach up in the air, I'll get better mileage.
Well, I can tell you that the Griswolds, also known as the Tills, drove up here from Columbus, Ohio, and we're driving back. The wife and the kids and the family truckster, and it has some new Michelin tires on it. So it got some pretty good gas mileage on the way up here, especially at the highway speed that I was driving.
The motor coach in the air is a scary thought, too.
Okay, this is critical time here. Do these guys feel that under caution here is saving them enough fuel? They will not need to hit pit lane today. So maybe they're just waiting to see the extent of this yellow. How long will it last? If they pit a little bit later into the yellow, obviously they don't have as far to go. They're going to be topping the car up with fuel closer to the finish. So certainly those calculators and those computers will be smoking right now up and down pit lane.
There was about 3 cars to be picked up. However, 2 of those made it back on their own. 1 didn't.
Well, Calvin, listening to the 1 team and the 6 team, both of those teams saying they just need a couple more laps of caution as they've worked it out, then they won't have to come back in for fuel. The 16 team will, and it looks like they're setting up to take that fuel right now. So both the 6 and the 1 hoping we get a couple more laps of caution, and then they will be good to go to the finish as we're seeing Dyson getting ready to come back to pit lane to fill that car up.
Critical factor was, remember, Dyson pitted before went to caution. That got them the lead, but they're 4 laps lighter than the other cars on fuel. So that's put them just outside their window. They can't afford to ignore this opportunity to hit pit lane. The others are going to be rolling the dice. It may still come back to Dyson for their 2nd win in a row.
Always hard to give up position on the racetrack, but like you said, Calvin, this opportunity is there. Take it now while it's out, while the caution is there. Get it done. Let's get on with racing. Chris.
And this is just going to be a real quick hit of fuel here. They're going to take time to clean the windshield, but I can't imagine this fuel taking more than a couple more seconds. Looks like they might add a little bit of oil. Yep, they're going to add a little bit of oil to the car. Everything else looking good. Going to pull out a little bit of rubber on the front end, going into the brake ducts. But other than that, it looks like they're going to be back on track. And I just tried to ask Rob Dyson if they were going to be good to go on fuel. Rob, are you guys going to be good to go on fuel now to the end?
I didn't hear you.
Are you good to go on fuel till the end?
We are now.
Well, there you have it.
Those guys, they are good to go. Now we just need to wait and see. Does the 6 and the 1, how many more laps of caution do they need before they've got the green light?
Klaus Graf leads right now overall. Full weekend of racing here at Road America. We've had IMSA Lights. We've had Skip Barber. We also had the Patron GT3 Cup highlights, and it's a doubleheader for them this weekend. It was great. And race number 1 on Saturday under cloudy skies, a little bit of haze in the air, and Ross Smith in number 5 Porsche leads the field, but right behind him is a battle. The 88 of Marco Chironi, the 89 Brian Wong, 21 Michael Shine, and 58 Amadeo Quiros. They've got quite a battle, but Smith holds on to take the overall victory and the victory in the Platinum class. Then round 2 this morning, Smith out in front again, but behind him the 88, Marco Chironi and Michael Shine. They make contact down in turn 3, but look at the battle for the lead. A great one. Amadeo Quiros battles with and then passes Ross Smith. Good battle all the way to the checkered flag. Quiros takes the victory in the Platinum and overall. And in number 14 in the gold class, Amadeo Quiros Jr., he'll take the win as well. Great win for father and son, and a great day for Costa Rica. We'll be back for more American Le Mans Series from Road America right after this. At Road America in round 7 of the American Le Mans Series, you're right on board the 02, the Extreme Speed Motorsports Ferrari. Guy Cosmo behind the wheel, but it's Scott Sharp that pilots the 01 along with Johannes van Overbeek. It's nice to see Scott Sharp back in sports car racing in a sedan. We've seen him in the prototypes, but he's learning a lot about the technology and the strategy of GT.
Wow, I mean, you know, being outside of road racing for a while and watching the path that ALMS took, I think it was pretty exciting to sit and watch that from an outsider, particularly just see the way the technology was opened up, and obviously that's interesting to manufacturers because the amount of manufacturer support was really unparalleled. And then to see the kind of racing that even resulted from that. You know, it's not one manufacturer and one team just running away from the competition, but multiple teams going at it, particularly in the GT class. You know, to watch that, once again, from a little far, being part of Highcroft and LMP class, but sit there, you know, how often we saw the TV, and rightfully so, going to the GT battles where it was just 6 or 7 cars, all different makes and models, just duking it out within 1/10 of a second of each other. I mean, I think that's what the American public wants to see. You know, they want to see close racing, and when they can associate with cars they can go buy in the local dealership, I think that just is a home run. So it's exciting for us to be there with our Tequila Patron Ferraris and be a part of that fray.
I spoke to the team the other day, and they said, you know, while you look at Reese and how well they run, they said, you know, they're fine-tuning their cars. Right now, we're trying to still learn about these Ferraris. You ride on board the 16 right there, the Dyson Intrigue, Guy Smith behind the wheel. So I'm taking fuel on that pit stop, but, you know, Chris Neville was talking about it. We showed the debris out on the racetrack. It's a freebie. You're under caution. Why not take tires?
Yeah, I mean, you lost the track position anyway. You'd have fresher rubber, and it would be cold rubber, so you wouldn't get the amount of pickup, and you might be in slightly better shape. So maybe we'll see how it plans out, but the Dunlop tires certainly performed great at Mid-Ohio, double stinting them, giving Chris Dyson and Guy Smith the victory that day. But I tell you what, this fuel save is big, because when you have a time-certain race, these pace laps are taking 4 minutes versus under 2, so you're getting a 2-for-1 there, and you're saving fuel on a lean map. So there's a lot of fuel save going on, maybe 3 or 4 to 1. So right now the gamble is, can the 1 and the 60 currently taken back to the green in the lead make it now without another stop for fuel? Great jump there by Graf.
Watch Johnny Cocker in 3rd place. He's the car with the big podium.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, is this Drayson Racing's day? Johnny Cocker has been spectacular all weekend long. Thank you. I'll go to the front, but look at Brabham saying, I think I want to go with you.
Oh wow, he picked up a little bit of draft, and Graf was just a sitting duck there. You got a great jump, but when you're 9-10 miles an hour slow down that straightaway, you cannot defend.
Certainly a great move for the team right now. Lots of applause on the pit car, but they are not done in pit lane yet. They will have to pit again for fuel. So this is, you know, it's good for them right now to get ahead, but they will have to come back to pit lane.
Wow, well, I don't quite get that then. If you know you are not good to go, why would you do it under caution? I mean, pit lane, it costs 42 seconds just to drive down pit lane. So Johnny Cocker is going to have to get the hammer down and really spread this field, because if the 1 and the 6 car can do it without another stop, he's going to be in catch-up mode again.
52 minutes left in the race when the flag came out.
Yeah, and when you slow the car down to what pit lane speed limit is, a huge pit lane uphill, get fuel, do all that. I mean, it is a monster amount of time to give up.
So Johnny Cocker is going to have to come back to pit road effectively. What you're looking at with David Brabham and Klaus Graf, that would be the battle for the victory here. I mean, Cocker needs to fill out a big lead.
He'd have to have a 45 or 50 second lead.
Doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you were wanting to hit your window and have a caution right when you're in your fuel window, you'd have to think these guys can go right around 50 minutes. Maybe they're outside of it. Even at this point in the race, maybe they think if it's full green, we couldn't do it now and get to the checkered flag with a full fuel load. That has to have been the call by Dale White and that crew.
Well, the way I see it, I mean, they needed a caution now. They need another one so they can rectify the problem.
This is a thirsty racetrack. I mean, you are full throttle for a long time. You're using up a lot of fuel, so that may be the case. Even if we stop now, we still wouldn't be good.
And Calvin, adding to this fuel story, just stuck my head back in with Muscle Milk Jeff Carter telling me we need 1 lap of caution. So this team hoping to stretch that fuel out in the car, but if this caution comes out one more time, then they are definitely good to go, but they need 1 lap.
Well, I tell you what else they can do, Chris, is really lean it off. I spoke to Jeff myself this morning, and he said between fuel map 1 and 3 on a full load of fuel, you can save 2 laps. I'm sure they're telling Graf right now, okay, even if Bram's a little bit quicker, run it lean. We may need that last gasp of fuel to get you to the checker this afternoon.
Now, we've seen throughout the season, one weekend it seems like the HPD has the mileage, the next weekend it seems like Porsche has the mileage. So if that's where the Muscle Milk team is, where is the #1, the Patron Highcroft entry?
I think they're going to be pretty close. I mean, talking to the teams, I mean, there's a lot of things that can move around in terms of the mixture you're running. They seem to be giving me pretty similar numbers in terms of their fuel mileage, so maybe Brabs is in the same situation.
Johnny Cocker out front in the #8, the Lola from Drayson Racing, but back in GT, it's Dirk Mueller in the BMW, the 90, who's gotten past the 45, and here comes the Corvette.
Wow, he locks it up there.
Oh, we've seen that earlier.
Late on the brakes, and here comes the 62.
He's going to
Can
lose
Jimmy
that.
Bruni take advantage? Oh, they're going to touch up into 6.
We saw Beretta make that same mistake earlier in the race down in turn 1 with Joey Hand in the BMW.
You carry too much speed down the corner to get the pass done, but then you can't make the corner. The wiser driver sees the problem, slows up even more than he needs to, cuts underneath you, and then outruns you up the straightaway and across 2 positions.
Tell you what, though, that BMW has come alive once again. The big disappointment for that team is, though, their car that was in better situation in this championship is out. So now they've got their hopes on this car. Let's see how he got it done. Talking about these Dunlop tires, how they come up to speed versus the Michelin down the long front straightaway.
Good restart for Dirk Mueller. As you see, he's already moved to the outside of Pat Long.
Man,
just drives around him.
Right there, just before the braking zone, that last couple of seconds, the car just seemed to accelerate.
There's been a lot of talk this year about the Porsche maybe not quite having the straightaway speed of some of these other marques, and certainly been a point of consternation for the Flying Lizard group. But overall, they're leading the championship, and they recognize this is not the BMW they were worried about. They're further back in the points, so they'll be pretty happy as long as they can stay in front of that Reese car.
Just because he went fast at the end of the straightaway, Dorsey, doesn't mean he had a button in his car like you always had in yours, Jamie.
Now.
After that last round of pit stops, I checked in with Corvette, Lizards, Reese, and BMW. All but the Reese crew are fairly sure that they can make it to the end of the race without stopping for any more fuel. Reese, though, says it's going to be marginal. It could come down to the very last lap for them. The other 3, though, certain that they can make it to the checkered flag.
Wow, right there.
Bump there.
Yeah.
Same deal again.
I was going to say, Magnussen dodging a bullet from one of the LMP Challenge cars. They were side by side, and now that Challenge car is slowed well down. It looks like it might be the 89.
Yeah, I don't think he could get it downshifted because he got down on the inside there and suddenly nothing was happening. He's got a little bit of drive, but maybe he couldn't get it downshifted correctly.
It looked like he got the pass done easily enough, and then all of a sudden stalled out on the acceleration off the corner.
We've also heard some radio communication from David Brabham that he's been told to adjust his fuel mixture as well. So they're working the numbers. They're really trying to lean those cars out and make sure they can get to the checkered flag here this afternoon. We see another caution, they'll be golden. But if we see green flag running for 47 minutes here, they're going to be tight.
Indeed, it was the 89, the LMP Challenge car that had the problem there. Trying to get alongside. Good to see the 40 is back out, so they've repaired that suspension. It's Kyle Marcelli in the 89 through the carousel.
So it looks okay now, Cal. I think you're right. He probably just got caught between gears.
They say one of the issues with this gearbox is you can't get greedy with the lever. You can't pull it too quick or it'll lock you out.
Yeah, so paddle shift, and sometimes the brakes, these carbon brakes that are on these PC cars, the car will brake so good. We see him again taking advantage down into the brake zone. You can't, the gear shift is a little bit slower. You can't come down the box that quickly.
Right now, Marcelli just needs to be patient, wait till that front straightaway. Certainly Magnussen wants him to do so. He doesn't want him to throw his race away, but Marcelli, no, he's going to look inside there. That's not the place to get it done.
Those downshifts you're talking about, Calvin, are all electronically controlled from the ECU, and they're intentionally slow downshifts to save on gear wear on these LMPC cars. And I think that's exactly what in fact happened.
Marcelli, third in class right now, and all of these LMPC cars have had their air restrictor opened up by 10 millimeters from 60 to 70 mil. It's giving them about 10 more horsepower, and quite a bit more straightaway speed.
Trying to alleviate those problems of being side by side in those braking zones and making it quite so close. It's Luis Diaz in the 52, the PR1 Mathiasen entry, who leads the LMP Challenge class right now. Gunnar Jeanette running second. Interesting to look back through and see where Scott Tucker is, fourth in LMP Challenge right now. Remember, he had that problem earlier when he was behind the wheel of the 55 entry. He is the championship leader in LMP Challenge. Right now, though, Gunnar Jeanette is ahead of him on the racetrack. He will close that gap down a little bit here if it were to end this way.
I am somewhat surprised, Trevor, that the LMPC cars are not able to out-brake. the GT variants around, and they should be able to get a little advantage. It doesn't look like it. Maybe because of that downshifting that we're talking about.
Diaz flashes through the kink. Remember, he and Adrian Fernandez won this event last year in the LMP2 category. So Diaz very familiar with a prototype.
He loves this place.
Yeah.
He thought last year, knowing that Adrian Fernandez was shutting down his team, it may be his last visit here. He also won here in Atlantics. But this is the battle for the lead. You see there, Gunnar Jeanette sees Luis Diaz in his sights. Gunnar made a very rare mistake at Mid-Ohio with a spin, which cost him the lead and ultimately the victory at Mid-Ohio. But he's still in the thick of this points battle, 11 points behind Scott Tucker.
And Calvin, I talked to Gunnar right before the race because this team just didn't have near the speed that the 52 car did all weekend long. And Gunnar said, you know what, we just couldn't really figure this place out. We've been tuning this car all year long for tracks that didn't have a lot of grip. Well, Road America, when it comes down to it, has some decent grip for us. And the car just wasn't working well at all. So we really threw kind of a mystery setup at it this morning. The car was working better this morning. He said during the race, we really think it's going to come to us. And I think we're starting to see that now.
4 different classes here in American Le Mans Series competition. A lot going on the racetrack. You can follow it in the broadcast. You can also follow it on RaceHub on AmericanLeMans.com. It has all the content you need to follow the American Le Mans Series, including live timing and scoring, and featuring an electronic lap chart, American Le Mans Series radio, and many other features. So log on now at AmericanLeMans.com. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Mazda. On any given weekend, there are more Mazdas road raced than any other brand. Things are heating up in GT. There goes the 90 BMW. Dirk Mueller behind the wheel, but here's the battle for second. Throw the proverbial blanket over that, and each one of these cars seems to have strengths in different places on the racetrack, Calvin.
Yeah, they do, and certainly that BMW has a lot of strength. We saw Dirk Mueller take it to the front. Here we see one of the LMP cars, the 89 car, Kyle Marcelli, having a problem there through 13. Got to be careful there. High-speed section of the racetrack, gets it turned around. That battle in the GT class is intense, and is also intense regarding the championship because the difference in points between second and third that currently Pat Long holds is 3 points, but it's a 6-point swing if the positions are reversed. So instead of the 62 falling 3 points further behind, it would gain 3 points if he can get by him.
These guys fighting here for second place. If they work together on these 3 long straightaways like they have been doing, they might make a dent in the BMW's lead up ahead of them.
Mueller in hand will move forward a little bit with the 92 of Auberlen and Milner being out. Melo and Bruni, they've got to get in front of the 45. They've got to.
Oh,
and a problem is
Marcelli again.
Yeah, he's crashing this time.
He must have some issue with that race car because
he does now.
He's a really good young driver, and to see him make 3 or 4 mistakes here in the last 5-10 minutes, he's got to be having some issues, you would have to believe.
Stopping was an issue right there.
It's the same corner where we saw him just a lap ago have the issue. Seems to have raised his head yet again. Patrick Long doing all he can to hang on, but he seems to be particularly fast out of turn 8 through the carousel, where he tends to gap the 62 just a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do it yet again.
It is just a little bit, though. I mean, you're not talking about more than a half a car length here or there, give or take.
It's the power down well, but you'd have to think in these long duration corners, the mid-engine cars would be a little bit better, like that Ferrari.
David Robertson back out in the 40, and these cars are going to catch it just about the time they turn in for the kink.
This is not good. Pat Long's going to have to check up speed, and the other guys are going to be flying behind him. Pat Long's going to have to defend.
Did the right thing by taking the inside away, though.
Look at this. Look at this. They're all over him.
Long to the right, protecting that position. See the 62, Jimmy Bruni looking alongside. Long protects in that corner, holds them off. But man, they have definitely closed up this time. Closer than they were before. Bruni right on the back of the Porsche. Magnussen there as well.
Superb job by Pat Long, recognizing that situation, not running so close to the Robertson car that he lost all his speed, and there's just hugging the right side of the road down into the brake zone. Good clean racing so far. Long way to go, though.
Heads up racing, too. He took the opportunity away because certainly they had the momentum to make the pass.
This is the battle for second in GT. There's the 90, the leader in GT, and here comes the leader overall. Johnny Cocker has now caught up with his battle. Waiting to see the gap from Cocker back to Klaus Graf. We talked about the fact they may need fuel. He's got to build that gap. 13.1 seconds right now. Johnny Cocker over Klaus Graf, so he's pulling it out. He's going to need a lot more than that if he's going to have to come to the pits and the other cars are able to stay on track.
We're hearing more news from the one team. They're really asking David Brabham to work very hard in saving fuel. How do you do that? Well, the biggest way you can do it is down into these heavy brake zones, Dorsey. Is just get out of the gas pedal and almost coast just for a split second there. Look at Long again, defending his position down into 5.
No block, but he definitely took away the inside line once again. And you're right, Calvin, particularly on the downhill runs into the brake zones. Back off early, don't get on the brake right away. Just coaster on in there, get a little bit more fuel mileage.
Bruni seems to have the better run off of turn 3 down the long straightaway. He makes up some room there. I think you're right, Calvin. Patrick Long in these lower speed corners, the motor in the back, the engine in the back of that Porsche really helps it put the power down. Magnussen hanging on to the back of that as well. Corvette needs a good finish, Chris.
Well, Johnny O'Connell started that 3 car in the 2nd spot today. Johnny, during your run, I talked to Danny Binks, and he said you were struggling with overall grip in the car. Right now, Jan Magnussen in a heated battle with that Ferrari and Porsche. What does he have for those guys?
Well, you know, we made some changes. That first stint, man, it was brutal. And but you know what? I lost tire pressure going way too high, and so I was just destroyed the left rear. So when I came in, we changed to a hard compound that hopefully gives Jan something he can battle with. I think right now he's probably a little bit quicker than these guys, but getting there and getting by is 2 different things.
This team's talked about the drivability of that motor this year. I know you did some test work earlier this week. Where are you guys with that?
Always improving. The beautiful thing about Corvette racing is the association that we have with production. It's actually production guys that are working with us now, so we've improved our drivability so much. And but you know, every race you're evolving the car and moving it forward. So hopefully Jan's got enough to move us more forward on the racetrack.
Yeah, hopefully moving you guys forward to that first victory of the year.
Tell you what, they took a big chunk out of Dirk Mueller. It had to be traffic because Dirk Mueller was lapping about half a second quicker than these 3, but on that lap he lost 1.5 seconds. That is huge. He can now see them in his rearview mirror.
Klaus Graf guys right behind this crew too, this race for the lead. Watch him weave through.
Graf has really stretched it out on Brabham, who's currently running 3rd, so you'd have to think that Graf is not having to save fuel as much as David Brabham, but again, we knew that car was handling well this weekend and had lap time. Doesn't have the straightaway speed, but he knows the racing car will probably need to pit, so he's got to be careful. Don't burn too much fuel, just keep the gap where it is.
Championship implications as well for Klaus Graf. If he finishes ahead of the 1, he will close down in the championship as well. He needs that. Timo Bernhard definitely helping him here, and Pat Long has not put a wheel wrong, and he has been under intense pressure from Jimmy Bruni and Jan Magnussen.
Pat Long is totally on top of his game these days. He's always been great, but I tell you what, he has matured so much. He is so confident. He's got a great partner in Jörg Bergmeister. They've won so many races and championships together, and they have a great team on pit road as well. So they've got all the elements. It really comes down to, is that Porsche fast enough to hold off the Ferrari?
Fuel strategy in LMP. Great battle on the racetrack in GT. Another close finish. You betcha, from right here at Road America, shaping up to be that way. And the fans, hey, cool down a little bit, grab yourself another bratwurst, be around for the checkered flag. Fuel strategy beginning to play out here at Road America. Round 7 of the American Le Mans Series. Johnny Cocker up front in his Lola right now. Understanding he may be needing fuel, and it's all about conserving fuel if you want to make it to the end. If you want to win the Michelin Green X Challenge, you need to go far and fast and save fuel as well. Drayson Racing right now, they're up front on the racetrack, and up front in the Michelin Green X Challenge in the prototype category in the GT class. It's the number 17, Team Falcon Tire. They lead over the 45 Flying Lizard Motorsports Porsche, and then the number 3 Corvette. And you couldn't ask for a more beautiful day here. Temperatures in the low 80s, low humidity. Johnny Cocker having a good run, but the battle has really been intense in GT, where Dirk Mueller leads that category, but the 45 of Patrick Long, the 62 of Jimmy Bruni, the number 3 of Jan Magnussen have had a great run there. And championship implications in both of those classes. We talked about spoilers at the beginning. Cocker and Drayson definitely spoilers. They're not in the championship hunt right now, but they want to go out of the season on a high note. They want to show how strong they've gotten throughout. Championship really is sitting there in second and third. Klaus Graf in second in the number 6, and David Brabham in the number 1 Patron Highcroft entry. And that's where the championship implications lie in prototypes.
I think the competition understands, though, that this racing automobile we're looking at is going to have to come in for another stop of fuel where they do not, unless it gets a caution or some sort of break. Right now he's running for a big lead because he knows he's got to stop. I think the guys behind him know it as well.
Yeah, and he is absolutely flying. He's been running some laps in the 150, mid 152 range, just nearly 2 seconds faster than the rest of the field out there. So look at that car grip. They've got a great balance on this race car. We saw earlier in the weekend really scraping the rear bottom of the floor where they had the rear ride height very, very low through these high-speed sections. Looks like they've addressed that a little bit. As that download, that downforce increases at high speed, it just pushes that car closer and closer to the ground. You're going to get great handling effect from that, but certainly you don't want to be hitting the ground too much. It'll drag speed out of the race car.
Maybe it made its own time.
I was going to say, it may have filed itself off. The question is, how much fuel do they have? How much yellow would they need to make it to the end? Jamie, what can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you that they are going to be coming onto pit road in just a couple of laps. The reason that they did not pit under that last caution was because they were still going to have to make another pit stop. There were still about 52 minutes left, or 52 laps left when it went back to green. They can't do that many laps on a full tank of fuel, so they would have had to make another stop anyway, but the team says they will be coming in just a couple of laps.
Well, that's the only way that decision made any sense. Dale White's one of the brightest engineers and strategists up and down pit lane, so to have that caution at that point, what they're saying is 52 minutes on the board, maybe they could only go 48, so they were still 4 minutes out of their window, so they had to just charge ahead, try and gap the rest of the field, and pray that they catch a break here. But he has got the hammer down. It's going to be awfully, awfully tight.
They had to pray for a yellow. I mean, he had no choice in what he did. A yellow would have helped him, but now he's done the only other thing he could do, which is outrun the field by as much as possible.
Just moving inside 27 minutes as we speak, and Cocker with a 28-second lead over Klaus Graf, and he's lapping, wow, that last time by 6 seconds faster than Graf did on the racetrack. Now, obviously, he's going to give up a ton when he comes to pit road. It'll be a time stop on fuel, on time fuel load, I'm sure. He's going to give up a lot of room. Will he be able to get his way back up?
Well, that's going to be the key. How much time will he have left? I would suggest if he pits shortly, he's certainly going to lose the lead of this race. We're hearing also radio communication. The one car telling David Brabham that he's now got his fuel numbers in the right zone, so he looks like he's pretty good. But Graf, you'd have to think with the pace he's been running, they've been calculating his, so he is really in pretty good shape here. He's going to try and keep the hammer down without using fuel. He's going to try and maximize the cornering speed, but try and save fuel wherever he can. If you're in traffic, just roll out of it rather than forcing it and chasing that throttle.
Yeah, for Graf, they've been running him lean too. They're doing his numbers, like you say, Calvin, and he's in his window for the opportunity. I think he looks the best of anybody, to be honest.
So the sooner that Johnny Cocker comes to pit road and gets his fuel, the sooner he can get back out there and the more time he'll have to claw his way back up to the front. Putting in tremendous lap times right now. That number 8 car really, really flying. V8 in the back. And man, they are making some time.
If it wasn't for the length of the pit lane here, I mean, that strategy would almost work because he's got a big lead, but God, this pit lane is the longest you'll ever look at.
Talking to one of the teams, they told me it was 42 seconds to drive down pit lane at the 60 kilometers an hour. That's 37 miles an hour. That's how long it takes. But you've got to calculate. You'll also be spending time if you're out on the racetrack. So it's probably about 10 seconds there. So I'd say the total loss is about 32 seconds. Right now, that's about the margin he has over the rest of this field. 32 seconds on that number, but he's going to have to take fuel, so the servicing will cost him time. So right now is going to be very, very close. If he pits within the next couple of laps, I think he'll lose the lead, but still be relatively close to the 6 and the 1.
I said V8, it's a Judd V10 in the back of the Lola Coupe. I misspoke there, and that V10 does take some fuel to make it turn the RPM that it turns and produce the horsepower. Wow, that was a 23 in front there. Bill Sweedler getting loose coming off of turn 8.
Racetrack did a good job yesterday. That turn 8 broke up really badly. They addressed the situation overnight. We haven't had a problem today, guys.
No, we haven't. I'll tell you what, Johnny Cocker has done a superb job. He's really gone from strength to strength. His first full season of driving one of these prototype machines.
32 seconds at the line the last time by the gap.
That's about the number I think you're going to lose coming down pit road, plus the service. That's going to be the loss of time coming down pit road.
Time stop at just how much fuel do they need?
5 to 6 seconds a lap faster than Graf and Brabham, who run second and third in the prototype category. So he may come back, what, 15, 20 seconds in arrears? Is that what you figure?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what they got to think about here. Think about if there's a yellow. I think it'd be better to take that stop sooner rather than later because he's got a big margin. If it goes yellow, pit lane closes, they'll lose that advantage, and then he's got to play all that catch-up. So if they're in their window, I don't think they should wait too long. A caution will only hurt them at this stage, unless it's a significant enough one that they'd be able to stay out, but they need huge help there. I think they need a pit now.
Look at this, boys. Both Corvettes have gotten by the 62.
Jimmy Bruni back to 5th. Gavin in the 4 car has also gotten past Magnussen. So perhaps the 3 and the 62 get together. Let's take a look.
We'll know in a minute.
I think we know right now.
Yeah, we knew that Mags was going to be aggressive.
That's the 4. So already Gavin had gotten past Mags.
Oh, it's
Magnussen
over with yet.
And Jimmy Bruni's got to be careful. He's still in the championship. He cannot throw it away. The Corvettes, while they're taking points away from him on the racetrack, don't let him take you out of the championship.
And I'll tell you what, Pat Long's going to be buying those Corvette boys some beers tonight so we can pad this points, because that is huge. Pat Long finishes 2nd, that would be 16 points. Jimmy Bruni would only get 8. That's 8 points. That will double their advantage in the championship tonight if he can stay in front of the Corvettes.
So Gavin had already done the job of getting past Magnussen and then put the fight to Jimmy Bruni. So now, right, it's Dirk Mueller in front. We saw the BMWs run so strong, so well here last year to finish 1-2, take their first victory. Patrick Long running 2nd, and then Corvettes running 3rd and 4th.
I think Ollie Gavin's coming on and making up the deficit up to Pat Long.
He is, and he's running about the same pace as Dirk Mueller right now. They're the only guys who are running in the 8s consistently at 2:08. That is, when I say 8, 2 minutes and 8 seconds. So Gavin has really been on fire this weekend. He's certainly got a lot of momentum. They had a very strong run at Mid-Ohio where he finished 2nd right on the tail of that Ferrari that he just passed. So they're feeling it. They got their mojo back.
8 car on pit road. I just looked at the timing and scoring monitor. 36-second lead the last time by, and I was thinking he has got to get in there, get this done, and get back out.
This is Canada corner. This is the 6 machine. So Cocker's on pit road. Here is Graf weaving his way through traffic. You'd have to suspect that he will take the lead, but it won't be by much. So great call by Dale White. They couldn't afford to wait.
21 minutes, 21 and a half minutes, and pit road now feels like it's about 10 miles long to Johnny Cocker with the speed limit. Graf coming up the hill will flash across the line here momentarily as the fuel probe goes in. Fuel flowing in to the Lola Coupe.
Don't speed.
That's 5 seconds. How much do they need?
By, he's gone by.
Gotta go, boys.
Don't speed out of here.
And this seems to be taking a long time. 1 car by as well, so David Brabham flashes by.
Too long, boys.
Way too long.
That was a healthy load. I'd say that was about 2/3 of a fuel load. We only got 20 minutes to go, so certainly playing it safe there. I'd have thought they could have shaved some seconds off of that fuel start, but they know the numbers.
Strategy. We said it would come down to this, and right now Johnny Cocker trying to get it sorted out. It took 1 minute and 8 seconds to do the stop, plus the in and out, so he has dropped well back. Can Johnny Cocker in the Drayson Lola, can he take it back to the front? From the pole to the checkered flag, will it be the first victory for Drayson Racing? We'll find out when we come back to Road America. Said at the top of the show that Road America, as of late, has been known for close finishes in the American Le Mans Series. It is setting up to be yet another one here today. Klaus Graf, you ride on board in the number 6 Muscle Milk Cytosport Team entry. Great to see Klaus Graf back because he wasn't at Mid-Ohio. Yeah, they showed up to do the test. The problems for Greg Pickett on the test day turned out to be huge as Greg had just a huge crash at the end of the straightaway, guys. Brake failure at the end, big impact.
Biggest crash of his career, 27 G's recorded on impact as it had a mechanical failure. And Greg is no young guy, ran Trans Am with me. It's a miracle that he is up, he is here, he's running the team, and I'm glad to see him.
Yeah, great to see him not only step out of that car, but see him here this weekend, Chris.
Yeah, it's obviously an exciting day here as they're leading late in this race, but it was a different kind of exciting 2 weeks ago. Greg, what happened at Mid-Ohio?
We just had a really, really big mechanical failure in the brakes. Nothing the team did, nothing the Porsche did at all, just one of those very, very unfortunate deals. Took a really, really big hit, but I'm feeling much, much better. And the guys actually, in conjunction with Porsche, did a heroic job getting the car back together and getting it performing like it is here today, where it's leading the race with just a few minutes left to go. I'll tell you, we're holding our breath here. I mean, we're going to be really, really close here.
Well, your team obviously did a lot of work getting that car ready. Porsche supporting you with the tub, and also Timo Bernhard this weekend. What's it like to have Timo pushed into this team?
Well, I think it's fantastic. You know, we love our relationship with Porsche. They've been more very professional, but also very competitive. Listen, that brand wouldn't be around unless it was very, very competitive, and that's how they are at nature, by nature. And so they wanted us to come out here and be able to continue to compete. And we're very, very appreciative of their help. And I'm very thankful for their engineering excellence in the way they build their race cars. Would probably save my life.
Well, next weekend it's going to be Romain Dumas behind the wheel, another Le Mans winner from this year. But are we going to see you back behind the wheel once we get up to Petit?
Well, we're hoping. Maybe. We're just cautiously optimistic about that. I am feeling better every day. If I can get in a bit of training and get back in really top shape, then I might give it a shot. But I've got to talk that over with my family a little bit, too, to tell you the truth.
Well, this team really bouncing back. Tragic weekend 2 weeks ago, leading the race now.
I think he's going to have to talk it over with his wife. He has a fractured L3 vertebra and a 7th and 8th left side broken rib. So G's hurting a little bit. It'd be great to see him back in the car, though. But look at this battle. We said we'd have battles in all the classes. We do indeed. It's the number 4, Ollie Gavin, qualified on the GT pole, really taking the fight now to Patrick Long. That is the battle for second in GT. Jan Magnussen runs 4th, and the other Corvette, Jimmy Bruni in the 62, the Risi Competizione Ferrari, a little bit further back in 5th. Championship implications here. Patrick Long has 2 Corvettes in between himself and Jimmy Bruni. That's going to give him even more margin in the points.
Yeah, he wants to hang on to this second spot in the baddest of ways, but right now, Ollie Gavin is flying, and we talk about the winless streak for Corvette. The team has not won since Mosport last year. That's nearly a year, of course, because we visit Mosport just next weekend, but this number 4 car has not won since Long Beach early last year, so they really need it badly. There we see the winless streak.
And there's Dirk Mueller in the BMW, just like a carrot dangling out there in front of those guys. Not that far in the distance.
Would you have believed it if we came into it? I told you that, hey, 2/3 of the way through the 2010 season, Corvette won't have a win?
Nobody would believe that.
Right now, Ollie Gavin trying to work his way up. Patrick Long holding on to that. Patrick Long not only doing a good job in the car, he's one of the fan favorites at the racetrack, signing autograph for late. And don't forget, fan voting for the most popular driver and fan nominations for special from the fans is now open on AmericanLeMans.com. Log on today to cast your vote for your favorite driver and to tell us who you think has made a particularly significant contribution to the American Le Mans Series in 2010. That's AmericanLeMans.com. Keep speed at your fingertips and fuel your passion for racing between events with Speed on your phone. Get expert analysis, latest stats, results, videos, and the latest news posted as soon as they become available. Get more at speed.com. You're going to be able to read all about this. This is shaping up to be a good one. On board right now, the number 8, Johnny Cocker. Looking out the front end of that number 8, Drayson Racing Lola.
Brake smoke ahead was the GT battle for second place.
Wow. There's Johnny Cocker. Warming up on the back of this battle, and there you look at the number 1 of David Brabham, Guy Smith right there as well. No, the last time by, Cocker had been in front of Guy Smith, so something happened in there. Cocker must have gotten wide or gotten caught in traffic and given the position back because he had closed considerably.
Yeah, our timing and scoring indicated that Johnny is right in the mix with these guys, and now he's several car lengths back, several cars back, so I'm not sure if he got wide on a corner, but he had absolutely been flying, cutting into that lead. But this is significant because suddenly the sums and the math gets a little bit more in the favor of Klaus Graf, who's running up front.
And you can see they're working through all of the GT race traffic for the lead and second place, which consists of 4 different cars, plus throw in some GTC cars that were there at the same time.
This time at the line, Brabham and Smith just about 7 seconds back. Cocker has closed the gap to the leader at 11.1 seconds, and it was a 1:57 lap time to a 1:58, so we don't see the speed out of the 8 that we saw a little while ago, Calvin. At one point in time, somewhere between 4 and 6 seconds per lap faster than the other LMP cars.
Some of that would have been traffic, of course. Now he's cleared that. There you see him, so this will be more indicative. Maybe he got wide, maybe he got some pickup on his tires, so we understand he had got by the 16 of Guy Smith, and then this is what happened. Let's take a look. Coming up on Brabs.
Oh, he got the dirty stuff.
Yeah. He's lucky to have kept it on the racetrack. We talked about the marbles and all.
He's having to pedal it. He's off there in the marbles there, and the 16 flashes by, and it's now going to take him probably at least a lap to get those tires cleaned off and back up to the speeds he needs to try and get the lead of this race.
We talk about the marbles. You can see them right there on the outside. Once you get out there, you're trapped there. You can't do anything.
Darcy, about 45 seconds ago, Robin Hill said, David, I need you to wait just a little bit longer. I need you to wait. Well, about 5 seconds ago, Robin Hill said, go get him, David. Richen that thing up and go get him.
Talk about the fuel map, giving him the permission to go ahead and pour the coals to the Porsche.
Remember, Highcroft have won here 2 years in a row, because why less than a second each time. It looks like it's going to be a similar margin here today if they're going to get the job done.
So we got the answer as to what Johnny Cocker's problem was. It'll be interesting to see with another lap on those tires. Has he gotten them scrubbed? Will we see the lap times coming well down? He's beginning to close considerably on Guy Smith and David Brabham.
Got 7.5 minutes to go, guys.
Laps.
And they're going to go to
I want you to pass Graf.
They're going to go and they're going to give it all they got. All these cars are going to run into the finish.
Robin Hill gives the command. We want you to pass Graf. Go get him.
Go get him, David.
This time at the line, Cocker 8 up 5 seconds, a 152 to a high 154 for both Brabham and Guy Smith. Closed the gap down to just about a second between the 1 and the 16, and only about 4.5 seconds to the leader.
There's your top 4 right now, and the real fast car's the one at the back. It's coming forward.
Guy Smith trying to come back on David Brabham.
David pinches him. Guy takes to the grass.
The gloves are off. This is for all the marbles. We talked about spoilers. We talked about the championship. This is it right now. Hands are being played. Cocker right there.
You know he has a bit more straightaway speed. Nothing like the 12 car showed in the early stages of the race, but he does have a straightaway advantage over the cars in front of him.
And you got the second longest straightaway coming up, or actually the third after this next corner.
Graf through the carousel, then a GT Challenge car, and then second, third, and fourth in LMP. They're going to have to clear the 23 before the King.
Expect there'll be this lap plus 3 more. Looking at the clock at the top of the screen, just over 6 minutes to go.
We know Smith has good straight line speed. It's about even with the HPD, and then Cocker a little bit faster. Cocker got balked just a little bit at the King, or is he laying back to get a run?
I would be laying back to get a run because we're coming toward the front straight, that uphill run, and that's a long straightaway.
He has the speed, he has enough time, he just can't afford to make a mistake.
See, this gives him exactly what he needs. He's got enough distance that whatever kind of momentum he can carry, he should be able to go right by both these guys.
Johnny Cocker, one of the future stars of sports car racing, gets the run. There's Klaus Graf across the line. Here come the next 3. Cocker on it early out of 15. Looks to the inside of Smith.
Not yet.
Great lap by Klaus Graf there. He got the hammer down at 1:54.6. That's the fastest we've seen for him on a clear track in quite some time. So he was significantly faster than the guys behind him. He pulled about 1.5 to 2 seconds on that one lap.
Cocker not with the run he needed off of 15, unable to close the gap considerably. Still right there. Can he do it now?
Here he comes. He's in the draft of Guy Smith. They'll look to the inside for 5. Will Smith defend?
Pushes him over a little bit. Gives him room.
Side by side, Cocker slides up the inside, takes the position. P3 for Johnny Cocker. Now, sights firmly set on David Brabham.
Now, Guy Smith can use Cocker as a drafting partner to try to get up there to that Brabham machine too. We'll see what happens.
Cocker needs 1 more car per lap. He's got enough time. He has enough speed.
Gunnar Jeanette still leading an LMP challenge over Luis Diaz. Then Dirk Mueller leading over Patrick Long in GT, but this battle is intense. Cocker trying to close the gap to Brabham.
Traffic up ahead.
Oh, this
Will that be a
traffic.
factor through the kink? One of the GTC cars. Yes, it is. Brabham had to get out of the throttle a little bit. Here comes Johnny Cocker. Here comes Guy Smith. He got the best run through the kink.
Rams will be defensive down here in Canada.
Nothing doing this time for Johnny Cocker, and Guy Smith closes up as well. Perhaps Cocker couldn't see the GTC car as well, didn't know to lay back to get the run. Smith putting the pressure on.
This is where Johnny needs to set up, right here. This long front straightaway gets it done.
Great job there by Brabs. He gaps the cars by 2 car lengths there. That gives him a little bit of a margin down this straightaway. But I tell you, that last 100 yards or so.
3 minutes to go here, pal. 3 minutes to go.
3.5 minutes left.
Go get him if you can.
Here comes Cocker. Cocker with the run, side by side, but Brabham's going to take it deep. Nothing doing this time for Cocker. He's going to have to play hard if he's going to want to get by David Brabham.
But Graf is increasing the lead. Is now up to nearly 6 seconds.
White flag next time by. Let's go get him, pal.
These
Go
guys
get
are
him.
fighting so hard, or did Klaus finally get the okay to go lean with the, go get rich with the fuel? Here we go.
Here he comes. This is going to be tough. Cocker's going to get second here. Then he's got to chase this man, the 6 car. Brabham slicks back to the inside, but it's not enough.
Cocker holds the position, a lap and a half to the checkers. Can he close the gap to Graf? He had been held up a little bit, I think, by those other cars being careful to get by him, but he doesn't have time to be careful anymore, and he's got clean racetrack in front of him. Graf with just about 6 seconds at the line the last time by, but we know that Johnny Cocker can lay down that lap. We've seen him down in the 52s.
I think if Graf doesn't get traffic, he may have enough margin. I didn't think it was going to be enough, but right now that lap that he laid down on the prior lap was significant. It's really gapped the rest of this field. Cocker has clear road ahead, but he has a big margin to make up on Klaus Graf in the lead.
But does Graf have the margin on fuel? Does Klaus Graf have enough fuel to get to the checkers? Chris?
Well, Brian just checked in with Jeff Carter on that, and he said it is so close. It is going to be out of fuel when we come across that checker flag line. I said, are you full rich right now, or are you lean? He said, we're running as lean as we can.
Oh, boy.
Wow. If Johnny Cocker doesn't catch him on the racetrack, the 6 may have a problem with fuel. We said Road America is all about close finishes. We may get another. The white flag waves for Klaus Graf. Just over 4 miles to the checkered flag. It would be their 3rd victory of the season, but that car right there, the 8th, he wants it. Johnny Cocker in pursuit.
Graf goes faster still, a 54.1. The gap is now 5.2 seconds. Without traffic, Graf is in great shape. The final spot on the podium, however, is going to come down to the wire.
Comes down to fuel motors for Graf. He drops off 2 wheels off the road. Trying really hard now.
Cocker closing in, stalking his prey. Klaus Graf in front of him, running very lean. We heard Chris saying, look at this battle. Guy Smith trying to get the position for Brabham.
Oh, that was so close as he flicked out from underneath the gearbox of David Brabham, but Brabham holds the inside line down into 5.
Championship implications here as well. Brabham can't let that 16 get in front. He needs to be as close to the number 6 as he can.
That's right. If he drops down to 4th, that'd be a 10-point swing in the points.
Not a lot of opportunities for Guy Smith right now. One of them down here in turn 8, but he's not close enough.
Guy Smith gets by David Brabham. Graf hangs on for the win. The points lead will be cut from 23 down to 13.
Traffic ahead for Graf. He's flashing the lights. He needs to get through here clean.
Cocker gets past the number 17 of Brian Sellers through the kink. Graf got held up a little bit. David Robertson in the 40 right in front. Cocker has closed the distance considerably, breaking into Canada corner. He's right there.
Graf's defending. Graf is defending. Cocker is going to be in good shape. Dale White realizes
he's out of fuel.
Out of fuel.
He is out of fuel, and the pass has been made for the lead.
Can he hang on? Does Graf have enough to get it across the line in 2nd? Johnny Cocker looking for their 1st victory.
Cocker overslows a little bit, makes sure he gets the good run. The Judd V10 putting the power down up the front straightaway. The checkered flag waves. Drayson Racing, Johnny Cocker, Paul Drayson, Dale White, the entire team. Huge celebration, but on the other end of pit road, huge disappointment for Muscle Milk. Team Cytosport. Look at the line. Klaus Graf still takes second, finishes in front of David Brabham. That is big in the points, but huge for Drayson Racing.
Wow, what was looking like a 10-point swing in the points is just 4 as Graf finishes second and Brabham third.
Margin of victory, 1.05 seconds. GT leader. We got so concentrated over on the overall battle. Dirk Mueller, the BMWs, remember how strong they were here last year. They were strong throughout the weekend, and most important in championship terms, right behind him, the 45 of Patrick Long. And where is the 62? Jimmy Bruni back in 6th.
Wow, that is huge. That is huge. That is a 10-point swing.
Dirk Mueller in the lead of GT, then Patrick Long, then Ollie Gavin and Jan Magnussen. So another good run for the Corvettes. A great run for the 0-2 of Guy Cosmo and Ed Brown. They run 5th in GT right now as Mueller comes onto the front straightaway. Bring it home, you hear the team say. Joey Hand, it'll be 2 in a row for him. Dirk Mueller takes the victory here. Big celebrations for the Rahal Letterman BMW team. And take a look, this is Guy Cosmo, Jimmy Bruni right in front of him.
Going down into Canada corner, doing it the long way around, I believe.
Big championship points here, a big swing. You can't help but wonder if the Reese guys weren't talking to Extreme Speed saying he doesn't really need to pass him right there,
Yeah,
guys.
but guess what? There's no favors going to be played. Remember
No,
what happened
no, there's not.
between the Reese team and the O2, putting them in the
You
fence.
saw another great one from Road America. We told you you would. It has worked out that way. Johnny Cocker will be back for the celebrations right after this. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by the all-new E-Star. Wow, does this truck deliver? By the new Cayenne, Porsche, there is no substitute. And by Racing Radios, the official radio communications provider of the American Le Mans Series. We said at the beginning it was about the run for the championship. It was about the spoilers as well. Well, today, the victory goes to the spoilers indeed. Johnny Cocker and Paul Drayson, what a fantastic run that was. I'm sure there's a lot of celebration down there, Jamie.
There certainly is a lot of excitement. Crew members making their way down. Johnny Cocker getting the helmet off right now. Johnny Cocker, you made that pass right at the end of the final lap of the race. How hard were you pushing out there?
Yeah, flat out. No, unbelievable. I mean, I made a mistake, got really close to David around the carousel and lost the front. Ended up getting loads of crap on the tyres, and yeah, then I thought it was basically over. I saw Klaus way in the distance, but yeah, I made first time I went flat through the kink in the race, but thought, you know, it's worth the risk. So no, just unbelievable. I can't believe it. It's fantastic.
Second pole to the first win. Congratulations.
Young and brave. Young and brave indeed. The first time I went flat through there. Take a look at the unofficial results. What a celebration it's going to be. What a great victory it was. Great, great stuff. And it wasn't just an LMP. What about LMP Challenge? A good run there as well, Chris.
Great championship battle. Gunnar Jeanette was 11 points back before this race, obviously closing that gap to Scott Tucker. Gunnar, it was a great battle between you guys and the 52 car. In that last pit stop, you guys saved a little bit of time on pit lane, grabbed the lead.
Yeah, this one goes out to the guys. Mark Schoeman, our engineer, called it absolutely perfectly. Everybody on the team did a fantastic job. Our car wasn't the quickest this weekend. The PR1 guys definitely had us on speed, but Elton did a great job, and thank you, baby Jesus, we're number one.
Strategy prevails.
More championship implications. Gunnar Jeanette closes down just 3 or 4 points, I should say, between Gunnar and Jeanette and Scott Tucker. What about the other challenge class, GT Challenge?
Down with Jerome Bleckenmull and Tim Pappas, a fantastic run. You started on the pole. You had to fight for this one, though. How hard were you working?
It was going well. I mean, the car was very easy to drive, so it was a nice race. I got the car in second. Then we did a drift and strategy, so dropped down to fourth and then could take the lead again. So yeah, it was a great race for us.
Big points. Congratulations.
Great win for them yet again. Pappas and Bleakmullen, that's going to help them certainly in the championship. A great run there. We saw a good battle throughout that event. And then in GT, Joey Hand makes it 2 in a row at Road America, Chris.
Yeah, we were expecting a great GT battle today, but it really looked like BMW domination and BMW getting their first win of 2010.
Yeah, man, it feels great. You know, we won here last year for our first time winning for BMW Rahal. Dirk and I now this year, it's awesome. It was a great car today. I went out there ready to win this race. I went with avenge this first start, and I went to the front. I told these boys I was gonna do it for them. I was gonna hand it off to Dirk. I told him right before the race, I'm gonna get this thing in the front, and all you gotta do is keep it out there, all right? And that's what he did. And here he is right here. Great job, buddy. It was a great win. This is what we needed, and we got good points today too, huh? That's right.
Congrats, guys.
And the GT Championship closing down as well. There's the results from the event. It looks like Joey Hand and Dirk Mueller are going to be tied in second in the championship with Jamie Mello and Jimmy Bruni, just 18 points back of Jörg Bergmeister and Patrick Long. There are the Michelin Green X Challenge results in GT. The 45 Flying Lizard Motorsports Porsche takes the victory, and in second, another Flying Lizard Motorsports entry as well. Guys, we said this was going to be a good one. Indeed, it was. There's the Michelin Green X Challenge in prototypes. Did you think it would come down to this, Calvin?
Well, I thought at the last couple of laps there that Graf had enough, but he needed a half a gallon of gas, and he didn't have it there at the end.
I tell you, this was a great race here today on one of my favorite racetracks. The next two are also favorite racetracks. Mosport coming up. That's a high-speed place. And then, of course, Petit Le Mans, man, it's going to be awesome.
Next race, Mosport, next Sunday, so you don't have to wait very long, 4 p.m. Eastern time on Speed. We said it's a run to the championship. Championship complexion, it changed here today. And I got to tell you, don't miss the last two rounds. It is going to be awesome. Next up on Speed, Speed Test Drive. For Chris Neville, Jamie Howe, Dorsey Schrader, Calvin Fish, I'm Brian Till. Thank you for joining us here on Speed for the American Le Mans Series. Make sure you join us for the run to the championship. Be there next week for Mosport. So long, everybody.